Have you ever felt a quiet ache behind your eyes, a pressure that is not pain, a sense that you are looking at the world through a frosted glass, seeing only the shapes but missing the soul of things? It is not a sadness, but an absence, a silent thirst for a color you have not yet seen, a note you have not yet heard. You are functioning, perhaps even succeeding, navigating a world that floods you with light, with information, with endless images and sounds. Yet, you feel undernourished. You scroll through feeds of vibrant lives. You listen to podcasts that promise secrets. You absorb the news of a world spinning faster and faster, and at the end of the day, you are left with a profound and nameless exhaustion. This is not the weariness of the body, tired from honest labor. It is the exhaustion of the spirit, a perceptual fatigue from witnessing too much, yet seeing nothing at all. You live in an echo chamber, a room built from the thoughts of others, the fears of the collective, the ambitions you were told you should have. The same anxieties, the same shallow reassurances, the same frantic distractions bounce off the walls, and their constant hum has become the soundtrack to your life. You have mistaken this noise for your own thoughts, this cage for your own mind. But somewhere, beneath the floor of that chamber, a silence persists. A stillness you can barely remember, but that your soul craves like a desert traveler craves water. I invite you now to step out of that room, not into another place, but into another kind of space. An inner sanctuary that has been waiting for you, patient and undisturbed. Here, in this quiet expanse within, there is a gateway. It has been called many names throughout the ages, but we will call it the third eye. It is not a fantasy, not a myth for the chosen few. It is your birthright, a faculty of perception that sees beyond the surface, a vision that feels the truth before the mind can debate it. This journey we are about to take is not an escape from your life. It is a return to it, a journey home, to the seat of your own awareness, to the place where you can finally, truly see. Let us begin with the space you inhabit most intimately, the architecture of your own mind. It is not the open field you imagine it to be. For most, it is a room, an echo chamber. Listen closely. Do you hear it? The same thoughts, circling in the same grooves, day after day. The worry about tomorrow, wearing the exact same clothes it wore yesterday. The memory of a past failure, replaying with the same sharp edges, the same bitter taste. The voice of a parent, a teacher, a long-gone critic, preserved like a fly in amber, still whispering the same limitations. This is the hum of the chamber. It is so constant, so familiar, that you have mistaken it for the sound of life itself. You believe you are thinking, but you are not. You are witnessing a performance, a pre-recorded script running on a loop. This chamber was not built to harm you. It was built to protect you. Its walls are made of your conclusions about life. Its ceiling is your definition of the possible. Its floor is the foundation of your fears. Every experience you have had has contributed a brick, a wire, a coat of paint. That time you were rejected, a wall went up. That time you failed, the ceiling was lowered an inch. That time you succeeded, a small, heavily guarded window was installed. You became the curator of your own museum of evidence, a collection of proofs for a single thesis. This is who I am, and this is how the world is. The mind, in its desperate bid for safety and efficiency, automates the process. It creates shortcuts, belief systems, automatic judgments. It does not want to reevaluate the world every single morning. It wants to rely on yesterday's data. And so, the echoes begin. They are the sound of the machine trying to keep you safe within the confines of what it already knows. The conflict arises when your soul begins to suffocate. There is a part of you, an undeniable, indestructible essence, that knows it is meant for the open sky, not for this climate-controlled room. It yearns for a new thought, a fresh perspective, a wind that does not smell of stale air and recycled certainties. This is the ache you feel. It is the friction between the soul's expansive nature and the mind's contractive habits. You stand in the middle of the room, hearing the echoes, and you feel a deep, unsettling dissonance. A desire for peace clashes with a terror of silence. You want to turn the speakers off, but you are afraid. What if, behind the noise, there is nothing? What if the echoes are all you are? This is the ego's most profound fear: annihilation. It has identified so completely with the noise, with the stories, with the endless commentary, that the prospect of silence feels like death. This is why you are addicted to the thinking mind. You are not addicted to the content. You are addicted to the activity. The constant churning is proof that you exist. It is a frantic dance to avoid the stillness where the true self resides. Now, here is the first ray of light that pierces the dusty air of your chamber. Here is the first truth that the third eye reveals. You are not the thoughts. You are not the echoes. You are not the voice in your head. You are the one who hears them. There is a space between the thought and you, the thinker, a sacred, silent gap. For your entire life, you have been leaning forward, pressing your ear against the speaker, mesmerized by the broadcast. The spiritual journey begins when you lean back, when you simply notice the speaker, notice the sound, and for the first time, notice the silence in which both the speaker and the sound exist. The thoughts are clouds, drifting through the vast, empty, brilliant sky of your awareness. You are not the clouds, you are the sky. The clouds may be dark and stormy, or light and wispy. They come and go. But the sky does not cling to them, does not fight them, does not identify with them. It simply allows them to be, to pass, in its own infinite embrace. This is the beginning of your freedom. The realization that you are the container, not the contained. This is not a mere intellectual concept. It is an experience to be cultivated. So I offer you a practice, a key to the door of your echo chamber. We will call it the 5-minute void. Do not be intimidated by the name. Your task is not to create a void, but to find the one that is already there. Sometime today, find a place where you can be undisturbed for just 5 minutes. Sit, lie down. It does not matter. Close your eyes. Your mind will immediately begin its broadcast, louder than ever, because it senses your attempt to escape. The to-do lists, the worries, the mental arguments, the song stuck in your head, do not fight it. Do not try to force it to be quiet. That is a battle you will always lose. For the effort to stop thought is just another thought. Instead, do this. Simply listen. Become a passive observer. Adopt the posture of a scientist of consciousness, watching the phenomena of your own mind with detached curiosity. Ah, there is the thought about work. Notice its texture, its tone. There is the feeling of anxiety. Notice where it lives in your body. Watch these thoughts and feelings arise. Stay for a moment, and then dissolve, like bubbles rising to the surface of water. Do not follow them. Do not analyze them. Do not judge yourself for having them. Your only task is to remain as the witness, the silent awareness in the background. The first few times you do this, it may feel like a failure. You will be swept away by a thought within seconds, forgetting your task entirely. You will find yourself lost in a mental movie, only to wake up moments later and realize you were gone. Do not be discouraged. That moment of waking up, that moment you realize you were lost in thought, is a moment of profound victory. In that microsecond of recognition, you are free. You have stepped out of the stream and are standing on the bank. You have distinguished yourself from the noise. Simply, gently, without judgment, you return to your post as the witness. You do this again and again. You are not trying to achieve a state of no thought. You are cultivating the state of non-attachment to thought. You are practicing the art of leaning back. What you will discover in these 5 minutes are gaps. At first, they may be only a split second long. A brief pause in the relentless commentary. A momentary clearing in the clouds. In this gap, there is no past, no future. There is no story of me. There is only a sense of pure being, of peace, of presence. This is the silence you are afraid of, and you will find that it is not empty. It is full. It is full of life, of potential, of a quiet, unshakable intelligence. This silence is the native language of the universe. It is the canvas upon which the masterpiece of your reality is painted. By engaging in this small practice, you are fundamentally rewiring your relationship with your own mind. You are retrieving your power from the automated script. The echo chamber does not collapse. The speakers do not fall silent overnight. But you have found the door. You have discovered that you can step outside whenever you choose, even for a moment, to breathe the fresh air of pure awareness. You are no longer a prisoner who believes the walls are the edge of the world. You are the governor of your own inner state, who can stand apart from the noise and discern its nature. You have found the power switch. You are learning that you can turn down the volume, that you can choose not to believe every broadcast, that you are the one in charge of the listening. This is the first, most critical opening of the inner eye. You have seen the illusion for what it is. Now that you have glimpsed the nature of the chamber, we must turn our attention to the one who built it, the tireless architect of your identity. We must examine the ego itself. Having recognized the chamber of your mind, let us now turn our attention to its architect. Let us meet the builder of the walls, the one who curated the echoes, the tireless guardian of your known self. We call this architect the ego, and it is crucial that you approach it not as an enemy to be slain, but as a well-intentioned, deeply misguided creator. The ego is the part of your consciousness that splintered off to build a shelter for you in this vast, overwhelming world. It gathered the materials of your life, your name, your body, your memories, your talents, your wound sand, constructed a house called me. It gave you an address in the universe, a story to tell, a face to show the world. When you were a child, this house was a necessary refuge, but you have grown, and the house has not. The shelter has become a fortress, the fortress has become a prison, and you are pacing its rooms, wondering why the world feels so small. The ego is not a solid entity. It is a mosaic, a collage of identifications. Look at its building materials. One piece is your name, a sound that has followed you your whole life, a label you respond to without thought. Another is your profession, the title that explains your function and value in the tribe. Another, your relationships. You are a parent, a child, a lover, a friend. These roles define your connections and your duties. Then come the heavier pieces, your possessions, your achievements, the numbers in your bank account, the diploma on the wall. These are the external proofs of your worth, the pillars that hold up the roof of your self-esteem. And perhaps most powerfully, the ego is built from your pain, your stories of victimhood, your scars, your grievances. These are the foundations, for nothing solidifies an identity more strongly than a shared enemy or a cherished wound. The ego weaves all these threads together into a tapestry, a character, and it presents this character to you and says, "This is you." Its prime directive, its only true purpose, is the survival and enhancement of this constructed self. It is a survival mechanism operating in the psychological realm. It lives in constant comparison, for it can only define itself by what it is not. It looks at others and immediately asks, "Am I better than them? Worse than them? Smarter? Richer? More enlightened?" Its entire sense of being depends on this relational positioning. It operates through judgment, instantly labeling every experience, every person, every sensation as either good for me or bad for me. Good is what enhances the ego self, bad is what threatens it, and it lives in resistance. It pushes away the present moment, for the present moment is often quiet, simple, and offers the ego nothing to do. The ego thrives on problems, on drama, on conflict, because these things reinforce its importance. It needs a world of us versus them, success versus failure, right versus wrong, in order to exist. It cannot survive in the unified field of simple being. This is why a life lived purely from the ego is a life of inherent suffering. It is a life of perpetual striving, defending, and fearing. A house of cards that requires constant, exhausting maintenance. And here lies the great inner conflict, the source of your spiritual restlessness. You are tired. You are tired of upholding the image. You are tired of the performance, of managing the intricate web of identities you present to the world. The professional self at work, the caring self with family, the witty self with friends. It is exhausting to wear so many masks, to ensure none of them slip, and beneath this fatigue is a deeper longing. It is the soul's cry for authenticity. The soul does not want to be someone, it wants to simply be. It doesn't want to be defined, limited, or packaged for easy consumption. It craves the freedom of the formless, the vastness of the unknown, the joy of being a mystery even to itself. And so you are caught, pulled between the ego's desperate need for a solid identity and the soul's profound desire for liberation from it. Now, allow a new light to illuminate this struggle. Allow the eye of inner vision to reveal the nature of this architect. Your ego, your identity, is not your cage. It is a costume. It is a magnificent, intricate, beautifully crafted costume that you have worn for so long. You have forgotten the feeling of your own skin beneath it. You have mistaken the performance for the performer, the role for the actor. The ego is a tool, a vehicle for navigating this three-dimensional world of form. Think of an astronaut. The spacesuit is essential for survival on the moon. It provides oxygen, regulates temperature, and protects from the harsh environment. The astronaut would be foolish to venture out without it. But the problem begins if the astronaut returns to Earth and refuses to take the suit off. They eat with the helmet on, sleep in the bulky gloves, and try to connect with their loved ones through a thick visor. They have forgotten that they are not the suit. They are the living, breathing being inside. You are the astronaut. The ego is your suit. It is time to remember how to find the zipper. This remembering is not a violent act. It is a gentle inquiry. I offer you a practice to loosen the grip of the suit, to feel the life that stirs beneath. We will call it egoless inquiry. It is a practice to be used in the midst of your daily life. The next time you feel a powerful wave of identification, a thought that begins with I am, I want you to pause. When the inner voice declares, I am so angry, or I am a failure, or I am brilliant, or I am not good enough, just stop for a breath. And in that space, gently ask a question, not to the voice, but to the silence behind the voice. Ask, who is this I that is angry? Who is aware of this feeling of failure? If I were to let go of the label brilliant, what would be left? Do not search for a clever answer. The question itself is the answer. The question is a tool that creates separation. It shifts your perspective from being the thought emotion to being the one who is witnessing the thought emotion. You are no longer the anger. You are the space in which anger is allowed to arise and pass. You are no longer the failure. You are the loving awareness that can hold the story of failure without being crushed by it. Each time you do this, you are prying a finger underneath the edge of the mask. You are not trying to rip it off in a fit of self-rejection. That would just be another, more spiritual act of the ego. This is softer, more curious. It is the simple, repeated act of checking in. Is this really me? Is this label the totality of my being? Or is it just a passing cloud, a temporary costume? By asking, you remind yourself that you are the sky, not the cloud. You are the actor, not the role. You are the warm, living skin, not the cold, rigid mask. At first, the mask will feel fused to you. The inquiry will feel pointless. But with repetition, a space begins to open. A subtle loosening occurs. You begin to wear your identity more lightly, like a cloak you can choose to put on or take off, rather than a brand seared into your flesh. The ego will not vanish, nor should it. You still need the spacesuit to navigate the world. You need a name, a body, a personality to function, to relate, to create. The goal is not to destroy the architect, but to re-educate it, to demote it from its position as tyrannical master of your inner world and rehire it as a skilled, respected consultant. Its job is no longer to define you, but to serve you, the vast, silent, aware you. It becomes a tool used by consciousness, rather than a cage that imprisons it. You learn to honor its function without believing its story of ultimate importance. You see its suggestions, its fears, its strategies, and you can smile at them with a loving detachment, saying, "Thank you for sharing. I will take it from here." You are becoming the master of your own house. Now that you have faced the architect, you need a way to dissolve its rigid structures, to see through the very walls it has built. You need a universal solvent, a catalyst for transformation. This catalyst is not a thing you acquire. It is a state you enter. It is the profound and potent alchemy of silence. Having unmasked the architect, we must now enter its workshop. But to do so, we must pass through a field of profound resistance, a territory that modern humanity has declared an uninhabitable wasteland. This territory is silence. Look at your own life, your own habits. You wake up, and perhaps the first thing you reach for is a phone, a portal to a world of noise, opinion, and distraction. You drive to work with the radio on, a constant stream of music or talk filling the space. You walk through a park with earbuds in, replacing the subtle symphony of nature with a curated playlist. You cook dinner with the television murmuring in the background, a ghost in the machine keeping you company. We have become a species terrified of the spaces in between. We treat silence as a void, a vacuum to be filled at all costs. For in its vast, empty expanse, we are forced to meet the one person we have been expertly trained to avoid: ourselves. This fear is not a personal failing, it is a collective conditioning. We fear silence because silence is a mirror of unflinching honesty. When the external noise ceases, the internal noise becomes deafening. The anxieties you have successfully pushed down with busyness begin to surface. The grief you have papered over with entertainment starts to seep through the cracks. The restless, churning energy of a mind that does not know how to be still becomes palpable, uncomfortable, almost unbearable. In the silence, there is nothing for the ego to push against, nothing to react to, nothing to manage. It is a state of unemployment for the architect, and this inactivity feels like a threat to its very existence. It will scream for a distraction, for any task, any problem, any noise that can reaffirm its role as the center of your universe. The silence strips you bare. It takes away your roles, your stories, your plans, and leaves you with the raw, unfiltered truth of your present state of being. And for many, this is a terrifying encounter. But here, in this feared and avoided territory, lies the secret to all alchemy. Here is the transformative truth that the inner eye is waiting to show you. Silence is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is not a void, it is the womb of creation. Silence is not the absence of sound, it is the presence of a listening awareness. It is the canvas upon which all of reality is painted. Every word you speak is born out of silence and dissolves back into it. Every piece of music is simply the shaping of silence, its power defined by the spaces between the notes. The Big Bang itself, the explosion of all matter and energy into existence, erupted from a singularity of primordial silence. It is the source code of the cosmos, the background hum of being itself. You have been trained to focus only on the ink, on the notes, on the words, but you have forgotten the infinite potential of the page itself. To enter silence is to return to the source. It is to dip your cup back into the wellspring of all possibility. Let us be clear. There is a difference between a quiet room and a silent mind. You can sit in an anechoic chamber, a place devoid of all external sound, and still be tormented by a hurricane of inner chatter. The silence we are speaking of is not an environmental condition. It is an inner state. It is the stillness that you glimpsed in the gaps between your thoughts. It is the quiet presence of the observer, the sky that holds the clouds of the mind. This silence is your true nature. It is not something you must build or achieve. You cannot force your mind to be silent. The act of forcing is itself a violence, a noise. You can only allow the silence to reveal itself. It is already here, beneath the frantic activity of your surface mind, waiting with infinite patience. Your work is not to create silence, but to clear away the noise that obscures it. To this end, I offer you a practice, a way to gently part the waters of your own mind. We will call it unfocused listening. This practice is a subtle shift from the usual instruction to focus. Find your quiet place for 5 or 10 minutes. Close your eyes and allow your body to settle. Now, instead of focusing on one thing, like your breath, I want you to do the opposite. I want you to open the aperture of your hearing as wide as it can go. Your intention is to listen to everything, all at once, without preference. Listen to the sound of your own breathing, the faint beat of your heart, the hum of electricity in the walls, the distant traffic, the chirp of a bird outside your window, the creak of the house settling. Do not latch on to any single sound. Do not begin to label them. That is a car. That is a dog. The moment you label, the analytical mind has taken over. Instead, receive all sounds as pure vibration, a single, complex, ever-changing symphony. Hear the high-pitched sounds, the low rumbles, the sharp clicks, the soft drones. Hear the silence that exists between the sounds and underneath them. Your mind will resist this. It is trained to focus, to select, to prioritize, to name. It will want to grab a single sound and follow its story. Gently, without frustration, release its grip and return to the state of wide, open, unfocused listening. You are becoming a satellite dish for the universe, simply receiving the totality of the present moment's sonic information without trying to process it. What happens in this state is a kind of magic. The part of your brain that is responsible for analysis and narration begins to quiet down, for it is not being given a specific task to perform. You are starving the ego of its favorite food, problems and narratives. By allowing everything in, you are clinging to nothing. You are pulled effortlessly out of the looping corridors of your mind and into the vibrant, dynamic reality of the sensory now. You are not thinking about the world. You are allowing the world to flow through you. This is the alchemy. This is the stilling of the waters of the lake. In this state of profound listening, the frantic waves of thought begin to subside. The surface of your consciousness, which was once choppy and opaque, becomes calm, smooth, and transparent. And for the first time, you can see what lies in the depths. You begin to perceive things that were previously obscured by the constant motion. You may become aware of a subtle tension in your shoulder you have carried for years. You may feel a pang of old sadness rise to the surface, not as a story, but as a pure, physical sensation. You may experience a sudden insight, a solution to a problem that your striving mind could never solve, because the answer could only arise from a place of stillness. The silence does not create these things. It simply provides the clarity necessary for them to be seen. It is the great revealer. It shows you the treasures you have hidden from yourself, your resilience, your innate wisdom, your capacity for peace. And it shows you the debris you have allowed to accumulate, the old pains, the limiting beliefs, the energetic knots that need to be untangled. Do not fear what the silence shows you. Its revelations are always an invitation to healing. By becoming a friend to silence, you are becoming a friend to yourself. You are creating a sacred space within, where you can finally hear the whispers of your soul, the guidance of your intuition, the deep intelligence of your own body. You are learning to trust the wisdom that arises from stillness over the noise of popular opinion or conditioned fear. You are no longer a ship tossed on the waves of circumstance. You are becoming the deep, calm ocean itself. You have practiced seeing the chamber and its architect. You have now entered the silent laboratory of the soul. You have prepared the ground. Now, You are ready to witness what arises from these newly cleared depths, to navigate the powerful currents of energy that were always there, waiting to be felt. You are ready to meet the river of feeling. Having looked into the quiet mirror and acknowledged the shadow that follows you, the part of yourself you had long denied, you might now ask where this shadow draws its power from. It is not a monster born of nothing. It is a creature fed and sustained by a constant, invisible source. That source is the story. We have come to the architect of your inner reality, the ceaseless narrator who lives within your mind, the storyteller. Listen closely, for you can hear it now. It is the voice that comments, judges, and interprets every single moment of your existence. It is the voice that tells you who you are, based on the flimsy evidence of who you have been. It has been speaking for so long that you have mistaken its monologue for the truth of your being. You believe you are living a life, but what you are truly living is a story written in the ghostly ink of past experiences, a story bound in the leather of old pain, a story read aloud in a loop until the very walls of your perception are papered with its words. This storyteller is a master of its craft. It builds a world around you, a psychological architecture so complete and so convincing that you rarely think to question its foundations. This architecture is your cage of beliefs. It does not look like a cage. It looks like reality. It feels like common sense. Its bars are invisible, forged from powerful, simple narratives. A narrative like, I am not the kind of person who succeeds. This was not a belief you were born with. It was forged. It was forged in the heat of a childhood failure, hammered into shape by a critical comment, cooled in the waters of a teenage disappointment, and polished daily by your own confirmation bias, where you unconsciously search for evidence to prove the story true. Another bar is forged. Love is dangerous and always ends in abandonment. This story was written the first time your trust was broken. The storyteller recorded the event, and instead of titling it A Painful Experience, it titled it The Fundamental Truth About Love. And you have carried that book with you into every subsequent relationship, reading its tragic final chapter before the first page has even been written. Consider the other stories that form your cage. I must work tirelessly and struggle, for nothing of value comes easily. I am fundamentally flawed, and if people knew the real me, they would leave. I am always one step away from disaster. Other people have it figured out, but I am lost. These are not objective truths, they are narratives. They are interpretations, scripts. And the most dangerous part of this cage is that it feels safe. It is the misery you know. The predictability of the pain is a strange and seductive comfort. The ego, the storyteller's greatest ally, acts as the sentinel of this old prison. It patrols the perimeter of your comfort zone, whispering, "Do not dare to question these stories. These stories are you." This collection of wounds, these scars, these limitations, this is your identity. If you let go of the story of being a victim, who will you be? If you abandon the narrative of the struggler, what will you do with your days? Without your story, you are nothing. You will dissolve into an unknown void. And so, the inner conflict rages. A part of you, the soul, yearns for the open sky it can sense just beyond the bars. But the storyteller, the ego, insists that the sky is a dangerous illusion and the cage is your only home. This conflict between the comfort of your known suffering and the terror of an unknown freedom is the central battle of your inner life. But there is a truth that shatters this entire illusion. A truth so simple, and yet so profound, it can buckle the very foundations of the cage you inhabit. Listen to it. Let it land in the quietest part of your being. You are not the story. You are the one who hears the story. You are not the character in the play. You are the silent, spacious awareness in which the play unfolds. This is the great unlearning, to disentangle your sense of self from the narrative it has been wrapped in for decades. To realize that the storyteller is a tool, not a master. It is a function of the mind, designed to make sense of the world, but it has become overgrown, a servant that now believes it is the king. Your task is not to kill the storyteller. That is impossible, and it would be like trying to kill your own hand. Your task is to gently, firmly reclaim your throne, to pick up the pen. This is where the work becomes profoundly practical. This is how you use the key to unlock the cage. We will call this practice rewriting the story. It is not an act of self-deception. It is an act of conscious creation, the most sacred power you possess. First, you must choose one of the bars of your cage, one limiting belief that causes you significant pain. Do not try to dismantle the entire prison at once. Choose one story. Let's take the pervasive story. I am not worthy of good things. Write it down. Do not just think it. Transcribe it from the invisible world of thought to the physical world of paper. Look at the words. See it for what it is. A collection of symbols, not a law of the universe. Second, before you tear it down, you must understand its purpose. This is a step most people miss. You must approach this old story not with violence, but with compassion. Ask it, what were you trying to do for me? The story of, I am not worthy, was likely created by a younger part of you to protect you. It protected you from the sharp pain of disappointment. By believing you weren't worthy, you wouldn't aim too high, and therefore you wouldn't fall too far. It was a preemptive strike against heartbreak. So, you look at this story, and you say, thank you for trying to protect me. I see your intention, but I am an adult now. I no longer need this form of protection. I choose to learn through experience, not to hide from it. Your service is complete. In doing this, you disarm the ego's resistance. You are not killing it, you are honoring it and moving on. Third, you write the new story. This new story must be a declaration of power and possibility. It must be believable, yet expansive. The opposite of, I am not worthy, is not, I am perfect and deserve everything without effort. That is simply another trap of the ego. A more powerful, truer story would be, I am a unique expression of life, and I am open to receiving the abundance, love, and joy that are my birthright. Or perhaps, my worth is inherent and does not depend on my achievements or the opinions of others. I am learning to accept the goodness that flows into my life. Choose the words that make your heart feel a sense of expansion, a flicker of truth. Fourth, and this is the most critical step, you must become a detective for the truth of your new story. Your mind will immediately demand evidence. It will say, this is a lie, where is the proof? Your job is to find it. Comb through your past, no matter how bleak it seems, and find one single piece of evidence. A time a stranger was kind to you. A moment you felt proud of a small accomplishment. A beautiful sunset you witnessed. A loving word from a friend. These are all pieces of evidence that the universe is not hostile and that you are capable of experiencing goodness. Write them down below your new story. If your past feels truly barren of proof, then you must create it in your imagination, as Neville Goddard taught. You must feel the feeling of the new story being true. What would it feel like in your body to be truly open to receiving joy? Sit with that feeling for 2 minutes. This is not fantasy. This is rehearsal. You are giving your mind and body a new energetic signature to tune into. Finally, you live into this new story. You place this piece of paper somewhere you will see it every day. You read it in the morning. You read it before you sleep. When the old storyteller begins its familiar, painful monologue, you do not fight it. You simply acknowledge it. Ah, the old story again. And then you gently but firmly read your new one. You are not erasing the old path in the forest. You are simply choosing to walk a new one. Day after day, you walk this new path. At first, it is difficult and overgrown, but with each repetition, your footsteps clear the way. The grass is flattened, the branches are pushed aside, and over time, this new path becomes the default, the easy way to travel. The old path, through disuse, slowly becomes overgrown and disappears back into the forest floor. This is the power you hold. You are the author. The cage of your beliefs was built by you, unconsciously, and it can be unbuilt by you, consciously. Every time you refuse to indulge an old, limiting thought, you are removing a bar from the cage. Every time you actively choose to think a thought that aligns with your new, empowering story, you are tasting the open air of freedom. See the storyteller for what it is: a tool waiting for direction, a powerful, creative force that will build whatever reality you command it to build. It has been building a prison out of habit. Now you will give it new blueprints, the blueprints for a sanctuary, a home. The page is turning, the old, cramped chapter is ending. But to begin writing this vibrant new prose, you must be willing to let the old manuscript go completely. You must fully embrace the blank page that awaits, which requires you to master the sacred art of letting go. You now stand with the blueprints for a new inner world. You have identified the old, painful stories and have bravely written a new narrative, one of worthiness and potential. Yet, you may feel a strange friction, a resistance. It feels as if you are trying to walk forward with a powerful anchor still lodged in the seabed of your past. You hold the new script in one hand, but your other hand remains clenched, tightly gripping the tattered pages of the old one. This clenched fist is the physical manifestation of attachment, and learning to open this hand is the next great step in your liberation. This is the sacred art of letting go. Let us first be clear about what letting go is not, for our culture has deeply misunderstood this profound spiritual practice. Letting go is not weakness. It is not surrender in the face of defeat. It is not apathy or a cynical indifference to the world. It is not forgetting. You cannot command your memory to erase its archives, nor should you want to, for even the deepest wounds contain the seeds of wisdom. The storyteller, the ego, will tell you that letting go is an admission of failure. It will scream that if you let go of your grievance, you are letting the person who wronged you win. If you let go of your anxiety about the future, you are being irresponsible. If you let go of the memory of a past success, you are resigning yourself to mediocrity. This is the ego's desperate attempt to maintain control, because its entire existence is based on clinging, defining, and possessing. To the ego, letting go feels like death. And so we fight. We resist the natural, ceaseless flow of life. Imagine your life, your consciousness, as a vast and powerful river. The river flows from the mystery of the past toward the horizon of the future, and its waters are always moving, always changing. This is the nature of reality, impermanence. Now, attachment is the act of trying to build a dam in this river. You experience a moment of pure joy, a perfect summer afternoon, and you cling to it. You build a dam of memory around it, trying to stop the water from flowing on, desperately trying to relive a moment that is, by its very nature, gone. The water you hold back becomes stagnant. You experience a painful breakup or a failure, and you build another dam, a dam of resentment and regret, forcing the river of your life to pool in that dark place, endlessly circulating through the pain. You have a specific dream for your future, a precise image of what your life must look like. This is another dam, an attempt to force the powerful, wild river into a narrow, man-made canal. Look at the effort this requires. Look at the immense, soul-crushing exhaustion that comes from fighting the current of reality itself. You are constantly patching the dam, fighting the leaks, resisting the immense pressure of the entire river of life which simply wants to flow. The suffering you experience is not caused by the river. The river is just being a river. The suffering is caused by the dam. It is caused by your resistance. Letting go is the courageous, liberating act of dismantling the dam. It is not about losing the water. It is about allowing it to flow once more, and in doing so, you reclaim the energy you were wasting on resistance and align yourself with the full power and momentum of the river itself. Letting go, in its essence, is the cessation of resistance. It is a profound act of trust in the flow of life. It is opening the clenched fist. Imagine you are holding a burning piece of coal. It is searing your palm. Your storyteller is telling you, do not drop this coal. This coal is important. This coal represents the wrong they did to you. This coal is your motivation to never be hurt again. And so you hold it, and it burns, and the pain is immense. Letting go is simply realizing that the coal is the source of the pain, and opening your hand. You don't have to throw it. You don't have to do anything. You just stop clinging. The pain ceases the instant you release your grip. This is letting go. It is the choice of peace over the righteousness of your pain. It is the choice of freedom over the familiarity of your prison. So how do we practice this art in a world that teaches us to hold on tighter? We must bring this profound concept into the physical world. We must perform a ritual of release, an act of sacred ceremony that signals to every level of our being, conscious and unconscious, that we are ready to move on. Find a time and a space where you will not be disturbed. This is a private appointment between you and your soul. Bring a piece of paper and a pen. Light a candle if you wish, creating a focal point of intention. Now, quiet your mind. Take a few deep breaths, anchoring yourself in your body. Ask yourself, what is the burning coal in my hand? What am I clinging to that is causing me pain? Be ruthlessly honest. Perhaps it is the hope that an ex-partner will return. Perhaps it is the resentment you hold toward a parent. Perhaps it is the shame of a past mistake. Perhaps it is a rigid expectation you have for yourself, a vision of success that is choking the life out of you. Choose one. Do not try to release everything at once. Choose the burden that feels heaviest today. And on the piece of paper, write it all down. Do not edit. Do not judge. Pour the raw, unfiltered story onto the page. Write the angry words, the sorrowful tears, the bitter disappointments. Describe the weight of it, the shape of it, the way it has held you captive. This act gives form to the formless anxiety you carry. It brings the monster out of the shadows and into the light. When you are finished, read it aloud. Let your own ears hear the story. Acknowledge its reality. Acknowledge the pain it has caused you. And then, with a voice of quiet authority, you speak to it. You might say, I see you. I have carried you for long enough. You have taught me what I needed to learn about the weight of bitterness. Or, you have shown me how a closed heart feels. I thank you for the lesson. But your purpose in my life is now complete. And then you make the declaration. I now release you. I let you go. I reclaim the energy that has been tied up in you. I set myself free. Now comes the final, symbolic act of transmutation. Safely and with full attention, you will burn this piece of paper. Use the flame from your candle. As you watch the paper begin to curl, to blacken, to turn into glowing embers and then into weightless ash, you must visualize the energetic reality of what is happening. Visualize the heavy chains connected to this burden becoming brittle in the heat, cracking, and falling away from you. See the dark, stagnant pool of water behind the dam begin to flow again. Feel the tension in your shoulders, your jaw, your clenched fist, dissolving with the smoke. As the last of the paper turns to ash, take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, blow the ashes away. You are releasing it back to the elements. It is no longer a part of your story. It is just carbon. It is just memory. It is done. What remains after this ritual is not a void. It is not an emptiness to be feared. It is space. It is potential. It is the feeling of an open hand. At first, it might feel strange, light, even vulnerable. You have grown so accustomed to the weight of the burden that its absence is a new sensation. This space is the fertile ground upon which your new story can now be planted without being choked by the weeds of the past. You have cleared the land, you have honored the old, and you have made way for the new. This is the alchemy of healing. Letting go is not a one-time event. It is a daily practice. You will find smaller things to release every day. A frustration in traffic, a minor annoyance, a worry about a future event. Each time you consciously choose to open your hand and let it pass through you without resistance, you strengthen your muscle of release. You become a master of the art. You have undammed the river. You have dropped the burning coal. You have released your grip on the stories of yesterday and the anxieties of tomorrow. So, with your hands now open and your heart a little lighter, where do you find yourself? You are no longer lost in the past or straining for the future. You find yourself standing on new ground. You find yourself right here, right now, in the only place life ever truly happens. You have arrived at the sacred, silent, and powerful altar of the present moment. And so you have let go. The ashes of the old story have been scattered to the wind. The burning coal of resentment has been dropped. Your hands, once clenched around the painful narratives of yesterday and the anxious blueprints of tomorrow, are now open. In this openness, in this space, you have so bravely cleared, where do you find yourself? You do not find yourself in a void. You find yourself in a sanctuary. You have been running for so long down the endless corridor of time, chasing a future that never arrives and fleeing a past that is already gone, that you have forgotten the nature of the ground beneath your feet. You have landed. You have arrived here. Now, welcome to the only place life has ever been. Welcome to the altar of the present moment. Our entire society is built on the denial of this sacred space. It teaches us that the now is merely a stepping stone, a means to an end. It is the inconvenient waiting room before the main event. The mind, your storyteller, is the primary enabler of this great deception. It is a magnificent tool, but its nature is to chew on problems. If it looks at the present moment and finds no problem to solve, it grows restless. It feels unemployed. And so, it becomes a ghost, leaving the living body to haunt the graveyards of the past, replaying old conversations, reliving old wounds, asking, "What if?" to scenes that have long since faded to black. Or it becomes a frantic gambler, rocketing into the future, placing bets on 1,000 different outcomes, running simulations of disaster and triumph, living in a constant state of what's next. This ceaseless mental activity creates what Eckhart Tolle calls psychological time, a thick fog of regret and anxiety that obscures the pristine clarity of the now. You might argue, but I must think of the past to learn from my mistakes, and I must plan for the future to survive. And this is true, but we must draw a critical distinction. It is the difference between using the mind as a tool and being used by it. You can, for a brief and practical purpose, pick up the tool of memory to analyze a past event for its wisdom. Then you put the tool down. You can pick up the tool of planning to set a course for tomorrow. Then you put the tool down. The problem is not the use of the tool. The problem is that we have forgotten how to put it down. We have become fused with the mechanism, and so we don't just plan for the future, we become psychologically lost in it. We don't just learn from the past, we carry its corpse on our back. We have abandoned the felt reality of our life, right now, for the phantom limb of what was and the shimmering mirage of what might be. Herein lies the most liberating realization you can have. The present moment is not a bridge, it is the destination. You have been searching for peace, for joy, for answers, believing they are hidden in some future achievement, some future relationship, some future version of yourself. But they were never there. They are all, and have always been, right here, waiting patiently for you on the altar of the now. Your point of power is not in the future. You cannot act tomorrow. You can only act now. Your freedom is not in the past. You cannot undo what was done. You can only be free now. Life is not the story of your journey. Life is the quality of your presence in each step. The universe is not a long hallway of time leading to a special room at the end. The universe is an infinite series of doors, and behind every single door, marked now, is the same magnificent, sacred hall of being. You have been running past every open door, convinced a better one lies ahead. The spiritual path is simply the process of stopping, turning, and walking through the door that is right in front of you. How? Your mind will ask. How do I enter this space when the pull of the past and future is as strong as gravity? You do not enter it by thinking. You cannot think your way into the now. In fact, thinking is the very activity that takes you out of it. You enter it through the body. You enter it through your senses. The senses are the portals to the present moment. They only operate in real time. You cannot see yesterday's sunset or hear tomorrow's bird song. You can only see and hear what is here, now. This is your lifeline. This is the practice of anchoring. Let us try it right now. Wherever you are, allow your attention to settle into your sense of sight. Look around you as if you are a visitor from another planet who has never seen these things before. Do not just label table, lamp, window. See them. Notice the way light falls on a surface. Notice the subtle variations in color, the texture, the shape. See the space between the objects. Let your eyes rest softly on what is there, without judgment, without commentary. You are simply witnessing the miracle of light and form. Now gently close your eyes and shift your awareness to your sense of hearing. Open your ears to the symphony of this moment. Listen to the sounds that are farthest away, a distant hum, the sound of traffic. Listen to the sounds that are closer, the ticking of a clock, the rustle of your own clothing. Listen for the sound of silence underneath it all. Do not label the sounds as good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant. They are simply vibrations in the air. They are the soundscape of the now. Now, bring your awareness inside. Feel the life in your body. Notice the points of contact between your body and the chair or the floor. Feel the subtle sensation of the air on your exposed skin. Is there any tension in your jaw, your shoulders, your stomach? Just notice it, without needing to change it. Feel the aliveness in your hands, the warmth or coolness, the tingling sensation of pure energy. Your body is a universe of sensation, and it is always, always in the present moment. It is your anchor in the timeless reality of being. This practice of dropping out of the thinking mind and into the senses is your primary tool for reclaiming your life. Anytime you feel the undertow of anxiety pulling you into the future, or the grip of regret pulling you into the past, you can consciously stop, take a breath, and ask, what am I seeing right now? What am I hearing? What am I feeling in my body? This is the pattern interrupt. It is the act of walking through the nearest door into the great hall. This is why we call it an altar. An altar is a place of reverence. It is where you make a sacrifice not of an animal, but of your ego's incessant chatter. It is where you come to commune with something sacred. And what is more sacred than life itself, unveiled from the fog of thought? When you stand at this altar, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. A simple cup of tea is no longer a means to get caffeine. It becomes a ceremony of warmth, aroma, and sensation. A walk around the block is no longer a way to get exercise. It becomes a pilgrimage, a feast for the senses. Even washing the dishes can become a meditation. The feeling of the warm water, the sound of the plates, the sight of the soap bubbles. This is the miracle that so many seek. It is not found on a mountaintop in the Himalayas. It is found in the sink of your own kitchen when you are fully present. This is where you reclaim your power, your peace, and your sanity. As you rest here for a moment, on this altar of pure presence, you may begin to notice a quiet, constant rhythm that underlies all the seeing, hearing, and feeling. It is a gentle, steady tide, rising and falling within your own chest. It is the pulse of life itself, your most faithful companion on this journey. It is your breath, the ultimate anchor, and your most trusted guide, waiting to lead you even deeper into the heart of this sacred, living moment. You have come to stand at the altar of the now. You have allowed your senses to bring you out of the labyrinth of thought and into the simple, sacred reality of this moment. As you rest here, in this newfound presence, you begin to notice something. Beneath the seeing, the hearing, and the feeling, there is a constant, faithful rhythm. It is a tide, rising and falling within the vessel of your own body. It is the first thing you received upon entering this world, and it will be the last thing you release when you leave it. This is your breath. We speak of it so casually, yet it is the most profound and immediate mystery of our existence. It is the seam that stitches the invisible world of spirit to the physical world of flesh, and it is your most powerful ally in this journey home. It is both your anchor and your guide. First, consider the breath as a mirror. It is the most honest reflection of your inner state. When your mind is caught in a storm of anxiety, when the storyteller is frantically narrating tales of future doom, how is your breath? It is likely shallow, rapid, tight in the chest. Your body is preparing for a threat that exists only in thought, and the breath is the first responder. Conversely, think of a moment of deep peace or relief, perhaps sinking into a comfortable bed after a long day. How is your breath then? It is deep, slow, and originates from the belly. It is the breath of safety, of release. This connection is not a coincidence. It is a direct line of communication between your mind and your body. The breath is the language they share. The incredible secret is that this is not a one-way street. While your mind can disrupt your breath can also calm your mind. This is an alchemical power you hold in every single moment. You can consciously use the breath to send a message from the body back to the mind, a message that says, all is well, you are safe, come home from your wanderings. But before we can use it, we must first learn to simply be with it. The mind, in its cleverness, will tell you this is boring. It will protest, I have more important things to think about than air moving in and out of my nose. It sees no problem to solve, no goal to achieve, and so it dismisses the practice as unproductive. This resistance is the first hurdle. Your task is not to fight the mind, but to gently shift your attention, as if you were adjusting a camera lens from a distant, chaotic scene to a simple, beautiful object right in front of you. So, let us do that now. Close your eyes if you are able, and bring your awareness to the fact that you are breathing. Do not try to change it. Do not force it to be deeper or slower. The goal, for now, is not control. It is observation. You are becoming a curious scientist of your own inner world. Simply notice. Where do you feel the sensation of the breath most vividly? Is it the cool rush of air entering your nostrils? Is it the subtle tickle in the back of your throat? Is it the gentle expansion and contraction of your chest? Or perhaps you can feel it deep in your belly, a soft rising and falling, like the gentle swell of a calm ocean. There is no right answer. Simply rest your attention wherever the sensation is most apparent to you. This is the first act of dropping the anchor. You have found the place where it touches ground. Now, as you continue to observe, you will notice the mind wander. It will inevitably be pulled away by a thought, a memory, a plan. This is not a failure. It is simply the nature of the mind. The moment you realize you have wandered is a moment of pure grace. It is a moment of awakening. In that moment, without any judgment or frustration, you gently and kindly guide your attention back to the sensation of the breath. Every time you do this, you are strengthening a spiritual muscle. You are building the pathway back to presence. You may have to do it 100 times in 5 minutes. It does not matter. Each return is a victory. Each return is an act of profound self-love. This is the breath as an anchor. The storms of emotion and thought will still come. Life will present you with challenges, with turmoil, with moments of intense feeling. The practice of returning to the breath does not stop the storm. It provides you with an unshakable anchor in the midst of it. The winds of anger may howl, the waves of sadness may crash over the deck, but your awareness is anchored to the steady, rhythmic presence of your breath. You are no longer tossed about uncontrollably. You are held. You can feel the storm rage around you, but you know that you are not the storm. You are the deep, quiet stillness of the ocean floor, connected to your anchor. From this place of anchored stability, the breath then becomes your guide. Notice the two distinct parts of its cycle, the inhalation and the exhalation. They are not just physiological functions, they are profound spiritual metaphors. The inhale is an act of receiving. With each breath in, you are drawing life, energy, and vitality from the universe. You are being nourished. It is an affirmation that you are worthy of receiving, that you are part of this abundant world. The exhale is an act of letting go. With each breath out, you are releasing what is no longer needed. You are releasing carbon dioxide, but you can also imagine that you are releasing tension, anxiety, old stories, and resistance. Inhale receptivity, exhale surrender. Inhale life, exhale release. This simple rhythm is the fundamental pulse of spiritual growth. It is the giving and receiving, the expansion and contraction that governs all of creation. You are practicing the rhythm of the cosmos in your own body. For moments of acute stress, when the anchor feels like it is dragging, you can use a more structured practice to reclaim your center. It is often called box breathing, a simple but potent technique used by everyone from yogis to soldiers to calm the nervous system. You can visualize a square in your mind. You inhale slowly to a count of 4, tracing the first side of the box. Then, you hold your breath for a count of 4, tracing the top of the box. Then you exhale slowly to a count of 4, tracing the third side, and you hold the breath out for a count of 4, completing the square. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Repeat this cycle just a few times, and you will send an undeniable signal of calm throughout your entire nervous system. You are taking conscious command of the one system that is designed to bring you back into balance. This is the power you hold. It is free. It is portable. It is available to you in the boardroom, in a traffic jam, in a difficult conversation, in the middle of a sleepless night. Your breath is your homecoming. It is the constant, unwavering companion that has been with you all along, waiting patiently for you to notice it. It is the most intimate part of your experience, closer to you than any thought, more real than any story. By returning to it, you are returning to the truth of your own life force. You are affirming your connection to the present moment. You have found your anchor, the silent, faithful companion that holds you steady. And now that you are anchored, you no longer need to fear the weather. You are ready to turn your awareness toward the very waves of emotion you once tried so desperately to escape, and you will learn not to fight them, but to ride them. With your awareness firmly grounded by the anchor of the breath, you are no longer adrift. You have found a place of stability within yourself, a quiet harbor. From this harbor, you can now learn to look upon the ever-changing weather of your inner world, not with fear, but with a newfound curiosity and courage. This weather is your emotional landscape. For most of your life, you have been taught to relate to this landscape in one of two painful ways: resistance or identification. Now, we will learn a third way, the way of the rider, the way of the ocean itself. We will learn to ride the waves of emotion. First, we must look honestly at the old ways, for they are deeply ingrained habits. The first is the way of resistance, of suppression. An emotion you deem negative anger, sadness, fear, jealousy begins to rise within you. Your immediate, conditioned reaction is to fight it. You tell yourself, "I shouldn't feel this way." You clench your jaw, you tighten your stomach, you push it down into the dark basement of your psyche. This is like trying to hold a large beach ball underwater. It takes a tremendous, constant expenditure of energy. You may succeed for a while, maintaining a calm surface, but you are not at peace. You are in a state of high tension. your muscles straining to keep the ball submerged, and eventually, inevitably, your grip will slip. The ball will erupt to the surface with a force far greater than it originally had, often in a disproportionate outburst of rage or a sudden overwhelming flood of tears, leaving you and those around you bewildered. This path of suppression leads to numbness, to a life lived in a muted grayscale, and to the phantom pains of unresolved energy trapped in the body. The second old way is identification. In this pattern, when an emotion arises, you do not push it away, you fuse with it completely. The wave rises, and you become the wave. You do not say, "I feel sadness." You say, "I am sad." You do not say, "I feel anger." You say, "I am angry." Your entire identity is hijacked by the temporary emotional state. When you are the wave, you are tossed and turned without any agency. You are at the mercy of the current, slammed against the rocks of circumstance, dragged into the undertow of despair. This is the path of drama, of victimhood, where you feel as though life is happening to you, and your emotional state is the proof. Both of these paths, resistance and identification, stem from one fundamental error: the judgment that some emotions are good and some are bad. This judgment is the beginning of the inner war. Today, that war ends. The great revelation is this: emotion is simply energy in motion. Emotion. It is not good or bad. It is not right or wrong. It is pure, physiological energy, a cascade of chemicals and sensations moving through your body in response to a thought or an event. An emotion, in its pure form, has a natural life cycle. Like a wave in the ocean, it arises from the depths of your being. It gathers strength. It moves toward the shore of your awareness. It crests into a peak of intensity. And then, if you do not interfere with it, it naturally breaks, dissipates, and recedes back into the vast ocean from which it came. The entire cycle for most emotions lasts only a matter of minutes. The suffering we associate with emotion does not come from the wave itself. The suffering comes from our frantic attempts to either build a seawall to stop it, or to grab onto it and force it to carry us forever. Here is the key that unlocks this new way of being. You are not the wave. You are the ocean. Your consciousness, your true self, is the vast, deep, boundless expanse of the ocean itself. The emotions are simply temporary weather patterns on your surface. Some days the surface is calm and glassy. Other days it is turbulent and stormy. But the depths of the ocean are always still, always peaceful, always untouched by the chaos on the surface. When you learn to identify not with the fleeting wave but with the eternal ocean, everything changes. You are no longer afraid of the weather. You have the depth and capacity to hold it all. So how do we practice this? How do we learn to surf? The first step is to see the wave coming. With your anchor of breath holding you steady, you feel the first stirrings of an emotion. Instead of panicking, you simply acknowledge it. You name it. Calmly and without judgment, as if you are a meteorologist observing the weather. Ah, this is anger. Or, I see that sadness is present. This simple act of naming creates a sliver of space. You have already shifted from being the emotion to being the one who observes the emotion. You are no longer the wave. You are the surfer watching the swell begin to form. The second step is to feel it in your body. This is crucial. You must drop out of the story. The storyteller is spinning about the emotion. He disrespected me. I have a right to be angry. This always happens. And drop into the raw, physical sensation of the energy. Ask yourself, where do I feel this sadness in my body? Is it a hollowness in your chest? A lump in your throat? A heaviness in your limbs? If it is anger, where does it live? Is it a fire in your belly? A tightness in your fists? Heat rising in your face? Get specific. Be curious. By focusing on the pure sensation, you strip the emotion of its narrative power. It ceases to be a personal drama and becomes what it truly is: a powerful but impersonal flow of energy. The third and most courageous step is to stay with it. This is the act of riding the wave. You have seen it, you have felt it, and now you allow it to move. You do not try to fix it, to analyze it, or to make it go away. You simply stay present with the physical sensations, using your breath as your surfboard. As the wave of sensation builds in intensity, you breathe into it. Imagine your breath creating space around the tightness in your chest. Imagine your exhale softening the knot in your stomach. You are not fighting the energy. You are meeting it with a compassionate, spacious awareness. You are offering it the gift of being felt without resistance. You ride the wave up to its peak. You feel its full intensity for a moment the crest. And then, you stay present as it begins to do what all waves do. It begins to break. It begins to soften. The energy starts to dissipate. The tightness lessens. The heat subsides. You ride it all the way back to the shoreline of calm, until it recedes back into the great ocean of your being. You have successfully ridden a wave. You have allowed an emotion to complete its natural life cycle. You have metabolized the energy instead of storing it as pain. You can also think of it this way. You are the vast, open sky. Your thoughts and emotions are the weather. Some days are sunny and clear. Other days, dark storm clouds gather. The storm may be violent, with thunder and lightning. But the storm is not the sky. The sky is not harmed by the storm. The sky is the silent, changeless container that allows the storm to be a storm. The clouds gather, they release their rain, and they pass, leaving the sky just as pure and open as it was before. You are that sky. Anger, sadness, fear, they are just clouds passing through the vastness of you. This practice is the alchemy of presence. It transforms the lead of emotional suffering into the gold of wisdom and resilience. Freedom is not a life without difficult emotions. Freedom is the ability to feel any emotion that arises and know that you are the vast, unshakable space that can hold it. You no longer live in fear of your own heart. When you learn to do this, when you stop fighting the wave and simply allow it to be, something miraculous happens. In that moment of allowing, a space opens up, a space between the feeling and your next action. It is a space of profound power and peace. And it is in this space, this sacred pause created by your own presence, that you stop being a reactor and start becoming the conscious creator of your life. You have learned to be the ocean, vast and deep, and to allow the waves of emotion to rise and fall without being defined by them. You have held your ground, anchored by the steady rhythm of your breath. In doing this, in creating that stillness within the storm, you have stumbled upon the greatest treasure of the inner world. You have discovered a space. It is a space that has always been there, but was previously so collapsed, so infinitesimally small, that it was invisible to you. The psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl articulated this discovery with profound clarity. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. This space is the birthplace of the conscious human being. It is the single most important territory you will ever explore. For most of your life, you have lived without this space. You have lived in the fused, instantaneous world of stimulus reaction. Think of it as a spark hitting a line of gunpowder. A critical word from a colleague, stimulus, and the hot flush of defensive anger, reaction, are a single, explosive event. The sight of an unanswered text message, stimulus, and the cold grip of anxiety, reaction, are fused together. Someone cuts you off in traffic, and the surge of adrenaline and rage is immediate, automatic, a reflex as unconscious as blinking. These are not responses. They are pre-programmed reflexes, carved into your neurology by years of repetition. They are the superhighways of your conditioning. Your mind, in its drive for efficiency, has automated these pathways, believing it is helping you navigate the world quickly. But this efficiency comes at a terrible cost: your freedom. When you live in this collapsed state, you are not free. You are a puppet, and your strings are being pulled by external events and by the ghosts of your own past. The person who knows your emotional triggers can play you like a musical instrument. Your past trauma dictate your present actions. The storyteller in your mind loves this state of affairs because every unconscious reaction serves as further proof for its favorite limiting stories. When you lash out in anger, the storyteller whispers, "See, the world is a hostile place." When you shrink in fear, it says, "See, you are weak and incapable." You are trapped in a feedback loop of your own conditioning, living a life of predictable reactions rather than conscious creations. The inner work you have been doing, observing your thoughts, meeting your shadow, riding the waves of emotion, has not just been about feeling better. It has been a systematic process of prying apart this fusion of stimulus and reaction. Every time you chose to observe a thought instead of believing it, you inserted a tiny wedge into that space. Every time you allowed an emotion to be present without acting on it, you pushed the walls of that space a little further apart. The anchor of your breath is the primary tool for this sacred work. It is the jack that lifts the weight of the world off your trigger nerve, creating just enough clearance for consciousness to slip in. At first, this space may feel impossibly small, no longer than a single sharp intake of breath. It may feel like the silent, tense moment between a flash of lightning and the roar of thunder. It is a moment of pure potential, a clearing in the dense forest of your conditioning. It is the eye of the hurricane, a pocket of profound calm surrounded by the swirling winds of your initial reactive energy. In this space, you are not suppressing the emotion. You are not denying the initial impulse. You are simply not obeying it blindly. You are holding it in the light of your awareness. You are the sky holding the storm cloud, just for a moment, before it breaks. You are the conductor, with your baton raised, feeling the full, expectant energy of the orchestra, but choosing with absolute authority the precise moment to begin. So how do we inhabit this space? How do we cultivate it? We practice what we can call the sacred pause. This is not a passive waiting. It is an active, intentional, and deeply courageous act. The moment you feel the stimulus, the sting of the insult, the rush of fear, the pull of craving, your first and only job is to do nothing. Pause, stop everything. And in that pause, you deploy your anchor. You take one conscious breath, just one. Inhale fully, exhale slowly. That single, deliberate breath is the space. It is the circuit breaker that interrupts the electrical flow of unconscious reaction. It is the most powerful act of rebellion against the tyranny of your own conditioning. In the space created by that one conscious breath, everything becomes possible. The wave of initial energy is still there. The anger, the fear, but you are no longer being carried away by it. You are on the shore watching it crash, anchored by your breath. And now, for the first time, you have a choice. The menu of your life is no longer limited to one single pre-programmed reaction. A whole new set of options appears. The person who insulted you is standing before you. The old reaction was to lash out, to defend your ego. But in the sacred pause, new possibilities emerge. You could choose to see the pain behind their words and respond with a question, "It sounds like you're really upset right now. What's going on?" You could choose to calmly and firmly state a boundary, "I will not be spoken to that way." You could choose to recognize that their words have no true power over your inner state, and simply remain silent. You could choose to walk away. All of these are responses, not reactions. They come from a place of conscious choice, not conditioned reflex. They are born of freedom. This is the definition of real power. It is not the power to control other people or external circumstances. That is a futile and exhausting game. Real power is the inner authority to choose your own response, regardless of the stimulus. It is the mastery of your own inner world, Every time you utilize this space, you are rewiring your brain. You are transforming your karma. You are taking the energy of a stimulus that would have created a painful and predictable outcome, and you are consciously redirecting it toward a more evolved, more compassionate, more creative end. You stop being a creature of habit and start becoming a force of creation. You move from being a character endlessly repeating lines in someone else's play to being the author of your own story in real time. This space, this sacred pause, is your sanctuary. It is your laboratory for growth. It is the field where you plant the seeds of the person you aspire to become. It is the most potent form of magic you will ever wield. But accessing this space and making a conscious choice is one thing. Doing it consistently, especially when the pull of old habits is strong, requires a particular kind of inner strength. It requires the ability to choose what you want most, freedom and growth, over what your conditioning wants now, the familiar release of a reaction. This inner fortitude, this loving and firm commitment to your own evolution, is not just willpower. It is a finely crafted tool, a source of unwavering strength. It is the sword you will need to protect this newfound space. It is the sword of self-discipline. You now stand in the sacred space between stimulus and response, the birthplace of your freedom. You have seen that in this space, you have a choice. But a choice is only a theoretical possibility until it is acted upon. And in the heat of the moment, when the gravitational pull of old habits is at its strongest, making that conscious choice requires a specific kind of power. We must now speak of this power, and we must approach it with new eyes, for it is a word that has been deeply misunderstood. The word is discipline. For many, the word itself lands with a thud. It conjures images of a harsh drill sergeant, of punishment, of joyless restriction and deprivation. It feels like the opposite of freedom. The storyteller in your mind has painted discipline as a prison, a rigid set of rules designed to rob you of spontaneity and pleasure. This is the ego's most clever lie, because real discipline is not the enemy of freedom. It is the forged steel from which freedom is built. Undisciplined, you are not free. You are a slave to your moods, a slave to your appetites, a slave to the slightest provocation from the outside world. Your day is dictated not by your own volition, but by the whims of your passing impulses. It is discipline, and only discipline, that can liberate you from this chaotic inner tyranny. We must redefine it. True self-discipline is not an act of self-punishment. It is one of the highest and most potent forms of self-love. It is the act of choosing what your higher self wants most over what your conditioned self wants now. It is the ultimate respect for your future self. With every act of discipline, you are sending a gift, a promise, through time to the person you will be tomorrow, next week, next year. You are telling that future self, I valued you enough today to endure a moment of discomfort so that you could live with more peace and integrity. To understand this, let us use the metaphor it deserves. You are not building a prison, you are forging a sword. Your desire for a better life, your vision of a more conscious, peaceful self, this is the raw, unrefined iron ore. It holds immense potential, but in its current form, it is soft and useless. To transform it, you must first subject it to the fire. The fire is the discomfort of choosing the new path over the old one. It is the heat of resisting the urge to snap back with a clever insult. It is the burn of staying on your meditation cushion for 1 minute longer when your mind is screaming to get up. It is the friction of doing the hard thing, the right thing, instead of the easy thing. Most people flee this fire, but you must understand that it is the fire that makes the metal malleable. It is the fire that purifies. Then comes the hammer. The hammer is the force of consistent, repeated action. Every single time you stand in that sacred pause and choose a conscious response over a conditioned reaction, you are striking the hot iron. The first few blows may seem to do nothing. The metal is stubborn. The old shape resists. But you strike again the next day, and the next. You choose the deep breath over the angry word, that is a hammer blow. You choose the healthy meal over the instant gratification of sugar, that is a hammer blow. You choose to face the difficult conversation instead of avoiding it. That is a massive hammer blow. Each repetition, no matter how small, is shaping the steel. It is aligning the molecules, building an inner structure of resilience and integrity. This is not about intensity. You cannot forge a sword with one gigantic, heroic strike. It is forged through hundreds, thousands of small, deliberate, consistent taps of the hammer. Consistency is the engine of transformation. After the fire and the hammer, the sword must be quenched in water. This is the crucial stage of integration and rest. A sword that is only heated and hammered becomes brittle. It will shatter under pressure. You must temper your discipline with compassion and rest. After a day of making conscious choices, you must give yourself moments of peace, of non-doing. You must sleep. You must allow your nervous system to integrate the new pathways you are building. This is compassionate discipline. When you fail, as you inevitably will when you react unconsciously, when you slip back into an old habit, you do not use the hammer to beat yourself. That is the old, punishing model. Instead, you treat the failure as part of the process. You calmly pick the sword back up, acknowledge the flaw without judgment, and place it back in the fire. You learn the lesson, and you return to the practice immediately. The master swordsmith is not one who never makes a mistake. It is one who has perfected the art of compassionate course, correction. Think about the two primary voices that vie for your attention. The first voice is loud, frantic, and seductive. It is the voice of your conditioning, your immediate impulses. It screams, "I'm tired. Start tomorrow. This is too hard. You deserve a break. Just this once won't matter." It is the voice of short-term comfort and long-term misery. The second voice is much quieter. It is a deep, calm, resonant knowing within you. It is the voice of your higher self. It does not scream. It simply states the truth. It says, "You will feel better after you do this. This action aligns with who you want to be. This momentary discomfort is the price of your freedom." The entire art of self-discipline is the art of learning to hear that quiet voice and to honor it with your actions. The forged sword is the instrument of that quiet voice. It is the tool that allows you to cut through the loud, distracting noise of your impulses. So how do you begin to forge this sword, practically? You begin with your why. Discipline without a purpose is drudgery. You must connect your actions to a deep, meaningful reason. Why do you want to respond more calmly? Is it to be a more loving parent, a more respected leader? Is it simply to experience a day free from the exhausting poison of resentment? Write your why down. Let it be the fuel for your fire. Second, you must start impossibly small. Your ego wants to make grand, heroic declarations. "I will meditate for an hour every day." This is a trap. It sets you up for failure. The secret is to build the identity first, not the result. The identity you want is, "I am a person who meditates." To build that identity, start with 1 minute a day, or even just one conscious breath. Make the initial act so easy that you cannot say no. The goal is not the 1 minute of meditation. The goal is the hammer blow of showing up and honoring your commitment. Consistency in a small act is infinitely more powerful than inconsistency in a grand one. This beautiful, sharp, reliable sword is not an instrument of aggression. You do not use it to attack yourself or others. It is an instrument of precision and clarity. It is the tool you use to defend the sacred garden of your inner peace. You use it to cut through the thick jungle of procrastination. You use it to sever the energetic cords of unhealthy attachments. You use it to carve out time and space for what is truly important. It is the embodiment of your love and commitment to your own soul. And now, you hold this powerful tool in your hand. It is strong, it is sharp, it is true. But a sword, no matter how masterfully forged, is useless without a clear sense of direction. A powerful tool without a wise guide can even be dangerous. It needs to know where to cut and what to protect. This guidance does not come from another set of external rules. It comes from a deeper, more subtle source of wisdom within you. You have forged the sword of discipline. Now, you must learn to listen to your inner compass. You now hold the forged sword of self-discipline in your hand. It is sharp, strong, and true, a testament to your commitment to your own evolution. You have the power to act, to choose, to cut through the noise of your conditioning. But a sword, no matter how masterfully crafted, is merely a piece of sharpened steel without the wisdom of a wielder. A new question arises, one not of power, but of direction. In that sacred space between stimulus and response, which of the many choices is the right one? How do you know what to cut away and what to preserve? For this, you need a different kind of tool. You need more than the strength of the sword. You need the wisdom of the compass. You must now learn to listen to your intuition. Intuition is a word that has been shrouded in suspicion and misunderstanding. The logical mind, the storyteller, often dismisses it as fanciful New Age nonsense, or worse, as a dangerous and unreliable emotional impulse. Let us be clear what intuition is not. It is not fear masquerading as a warning. Fear contracts, it catastrophizes, it speaks in loud, anxious narratives. It is not the ego's desire dressed up as a divine sign. The ego wants, it craves, it rationalizes its own impulses with a sense of urgency. Intuition is not magical thinking or a random guess. It is a highly sophisticated, deeply intelligent faculty of your being that operates beyond the narrow confines of linear thought. Think of it this way. Your conscious, logical mind is like a flashlight. It can focus brilliantly on one thing at a time, analyzing data, making lists, following a sequence. It is an excellent tool, but its field of vision is narrow. Your intuition, however, is like a vast, ambient light that illuminates the entire room at once. It is your subconscious mind, a silent supercomputer, processing millions of bits of data in every moment. The subtle shift in someone's tone of voice, the flicker in their eyes, the energetic atmosphere of a room, the accumulated wisdom of every experience you have ever had. It processes all this information holistically and instantaneously, and delivers its conclusion not as a detailed report, but as a feeling, a sense, a quiet knowing in the core of your being. It is the wisdom of your body, the intelligence of your heart. The flashlight of your mind can tell you the facts, but the compass of your intuition tells you the truth. So why have we learned to ignore this profound inner guidance system? Because we have been trained to. Our society worships at the altar of the rational mind. We are taught that if you cannot explain it, measure it, and prove it with data, it is not real. We are told to make pro and con lists and to follow the logical conclusion, even when our entire body is screaming that something is wrong. We have been conditioned to trust external authorities, experts, studies, the opinions of others over the authority of our own soul. This has created a deep schism within us, a fundamental distrust of our own nature. The result is that the whisper of intuition is constantly being drowned out by the shouting of the analytical mind and the deafening noise of the outside world. To learn to read your inner compass, you must first do one thing. You must quiet the interference. A compass cannot find its true north next to a loud, clanging piece of scrap metal. The scrap metal is the frantic, chattering ego. It is the static of other people's expectations. It is the incessant digital noise of modern life. The practices you have already cultivated are the very means of quieting this interference. Your meditation practice is the act of letting the scrap metal fall silent. Your time in nature, your digital sunsets, your moments of conscious presences, these are all acts of creating the inner stillness required for the delicate needle of the compass to settle and point true. Silence is the sanctuary of intuition. Once you have cultivated a degree of inner quiet, you can begin to learn the specific language of your compass. This language is not spoken in words. It is spoken in the felt sensations of your body. We can call this practice the body check. When you are faced with a choice or a decision, large or small, give yourself a moment. Close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and bring the choice into your mind. Do not try to think your way through it. Instead, ask a simple question: how does this option feel in my body? And then, you listen. Learn to recognize the feeling of your inner yes. For most people, a true yes feels like an expansion. It feels like an opening in the chest, a sense of lightness, of resonance. It can feel like warmth, a subtle leaning forward, a feeling of rightness that is calm and clear. There is no anxiety attached to it, no frantic energy. It is a quiet, solid hum of alignment. It feels like coming home. Conversely, you must learn to recognize the feeling of your inner number. A true no is not the same as fear. It is a feeling of contraction. It can feel like a knot in your stomach, a tightness in your solar plexus, a subtle sense of dread or wrongness. It feels heavy, dense. It can feel like your energy is subtly pulling back, even if the logical mind is screaming that this is a great opportunity. Your body knows. It is trying to tell you that this path, whatever its apparent merits, is not in alignment with your true north. The key is to start small. Do not wait for a life-altering decision to practice reading your compass. Calibrate it with the small choices of your daily life. Standing in front of your closet, does this color feel expansive or contracting today? Choosing your lunch, does this food feel energizing or heavy? Deciding whether to make a phone call, does the thought of it bring a feeling of lightness or a feeling of dread? Use these low-stakes decisions as your training ground. Form a hypothesis based on your intuitive hit, act on it, and then observe the outcome. Did taking that different route home lead you to discover a beautiful new street? Did reaching out to that old friend result in a surprisingly joyful conversation? You are building a library of evidence. You are proving to your skeptical mind that this inner guidance system is real and trustworthy. You are learning the language of your soul, one simple word at a time. This is the harmonious marriage of the two great tools of your inner world. The compass of intuition points the way. It whispers, "This is the path. This is your truth." Then, the sword of self-discipline provides the power to act on that knowing. The sword clears the path that the compass reveals. Intuition without discipline is just a lovely dream, a series of unrealized insights. Discipline without intuition is rigid, blind, and can lead you to climb a ladder with great efficiency, only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. The mind and the sword become the faithful servants of the heart's deep knowing. This is inner mastery. When you begin to live this way, guided by the compass and empowered by the sword, something truly magical begins to unfold. You stop fighting the current of your own life. You begin to move in harmony with a larger intelligence, a deeper flow. You begin to send a clear, coherent, and authentic signal out from the core of your being. And the universe, which is a vast and perfect mirror, has no choice but to respond. It begins to reflect your own inner coherence back to you. The right people, the right opportunities, the right insights, they start to appear, not because you are chasing them, but because you are now a vibrational match for them. You have aligned yourself with your own truth, and the world rearranges itself around that truth. You are learning that the universe is not something that happens to you. It is a mirror that reflects who you are. Guided by the quiet wisdom of your inner compass and empowered by the sharp, decisive sword of your discipline, you begin to walk a new path. You move not with the frantic energy of the ego, but with a calm, grounded sense of purpose. And as you walk this path, you start to notice something strange and wonderful. You notice a resonance, a subtle echo between your inner world and the outer one. The right conversation appears just when you need the insight. You think of an old friend, and they call you the next day. A feeling of peace, cultivated in your morning meditation, seems to stretch out, coloring the events of your afternoon. You are beginning to witness one of the deepest and most transformative laws of existence in action. You are learning that the universe is not a random collection of events. The universe is a mirror. This is perhaps one of the most difficult truths for the conditioned mind to accept, because it dismantles the very foundation of victimhood upon which the ego thrives. From our earliest days, we are taught to see life as something that happens to us. The traffic made us late. The economy ruined our business. That person broke our heart. We see ourselves as a solid, separate entity, moving through a world that is either helping or hindering us. But this is a profound illusion. The great secret is that the world outside of you is a perfect, flawless, and instantaneous reflection of the world inside of you. It is not reflecting what you want. It is not reflecting what you deserve. It is reflecting who you are, moment by moment, on the silent, invisible level of energy and consciousness. This is where the storyteller rebels. It screams, "This is nonsense. I did not ask for this struggle. I did not create this illness. I am not responsible for the way that person treated me." And it is right, but only on the most superficial level. This principle is not about blame. It is about power. To blame yourself for past misfortunes is simply another egoic trap. The point is not to look backward with guilt, but to look at this present moment with a radical new sense of authority. The choice before you is simple. You can continue to be a victim of the reflection in the mirror, forever at the mercy of a world that seems arbitrary and often cruel. Or you can take a deep breath, turn away from the mirror, and realize that you are the one standing in front of it. You are the source of the image. How does this work? Think of yourself as a living tuning fork. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every deep-seated belief you hold, it all coalesces into a specific vibrational frequency. You are constantly broadcasting a signal, a signature resonance that emanates from the core of your being. This is not a metaphor. It is a description of reality. Your body is an electromagnetic system. Your heart generates a powerful field. The universe, in its infinite intelligence, is a field of potential that responds to vibration. It does not respond to your words or your wishes. It responds to your frequency. If your dominant, habitual frequency is one of frustration, lack, and resentment, you are vibrating at that specific pitch. Like a magnet, you will then perceive, attract, and energize experiences that resonate with that same frequency. You will notice every reason to be frustrated. You will see evidence of lack everywhere you look. You will attract people and situations that give you more reasons to feel resentful. The universe is not punishing you. It is simply matching your signal. It is giving you more of what you already are. Now, imagine the utter futility of trying to change your life from this state. It is like standing in front of a mirror, seeing a deep frown on your face, and trying to fix it by polishing the glass. You can scrub and wipe the mirror all day long. You can get angry at the mirror. You can blame the mirror for its gloomy reflection, but the frown will not change. To change the reflection, you must do the one thing the ego resists. You must take responsibility for the face that is making the frown. You must change your own expression. The moment you allow even a small, gentle smile to touch your lips, the mirror has no choice. It must reflect the smile back to you, instantly and without judgment. This is the great work. It is to stop focusing on polishing the mirror of your external world, your job, your relationships, your bank account, and to turn your full attention inward to the expression on your own face, to the frequency of your own being. You must become the thing you wish to attract. You cannot chase down peace. You must cultivate it within until you are peace. Then you will find yourself in peaceful situations. You cannot hunt for love to fill your emptiness. You must fill your own being with such profound self-love that you become a radiant source of it. Then love will find you, not because you need it, but because it recognizes itself in you. You cannot struggle your way into abundance from a mindset of lack. You must cultivate a deep-seated feeling of gratitude and sufficiency, a knowing that you are already whole and provided for. From that frequency, opportunities and resources will flow to you, not as a desperate rescue, but as a natural consequence of your own inner state. This leads us to one of the most powerful and practical spiritual exercises you can undertake: the practice of active gratitude. This is not the polite, passive thank you of our conditioning. This is an assertive, creative act of vibrational alignment. It is the conscious decision to tune your instrument to the frequency of abundance, even when the reflection in the mirror seems to show you lack. The practice is simple, but its effect is profound. Every single day, preferably in the morning, you are to find 3 new things for which you feel genuinely grateful. And you are not to simply make a mental list. You must bring the feeling of gratitude into your body. Perhaps today, it is the warmth of the sun on your skin. Don't just note it. Close your eyes and truly feel that warmth. Let the feeling of being warmed, of being gifted this simple, profound pleasure, fill your chest. Let it become a physical sensation of gratitude. Perhaps it is a kind word someone offered you yesterday. Don't just remember it. Replay it in your mind and feel the emotional resonance of being seen and appreciated. Let that feeling expand. Perhaps it is the simple fact of your own breath, the steady rhythm that has sustained you your entire life without ever asking for anything in return. Feel the astonishing generosity of that simple fact. Feel the awe. The goal is not the list. The goal is the feeling. The feeling is the prayer. The feeling is the vibrational shift. By consciously generating the feeling state of gratitude, you are changing your broadcast. You are becoming a tuning fork for abundance, for goodness, for grace. When you live from this understanding, you cease to be a frantic pursuer and you become a powerful attractor. You become a lighthouse. The lighthouse does not run all over the coastline trying to find ships to save. It does not worry about which ships are sailing on the horizon. It has only one job: to tend to its own light. It anchors itself to its rock, it polishes its own lens, and it shines its beam as brightly and as authentically as it possibly can. It becomes a stable, powerful, and unwavering source of light. And then, out of the vast darkness of the sea, the ships that are seeking that light, the ones that are attuned to its frequency, are guided naturally to its shore. Your only job is to tend to your own light, the light of your consciousness, your inner state, your frequency. Shine with the light of peace, and peaceful experiences will find their way to you. Shine with the light of love, and loving souls will be drawn to your harbor. Shine with the light of gratitude, and the universe will bring you ever more reasons to be grateful. This is the machinery of creation. The world is the reflection. You are the source. This understanding does not add a burden of responsibility. It grants you the ultimate freedom. It means that no matter how dark the reflection in the mirror may seem right now, you are never powerless. You always hold the power to change it, because you always hold the power to change yourself. This powerful dynamic, this unwavering law of cause and effect, where your inner state creates your outer reality, is not just a passing phenomenon. It is a fundamental law of the cosmos. It is the very essence of the force that spiritual traditions have called karma. You have stood before the great mirror of the universe and realized that the reflection you see is not random. It is a direct echo of your own inner state. This understanding is profound. It returns to you a power you had long ago given away to circumstances. This unwavering principle of reflection, this perfect and impersonal law of cause and effect, where your inner world shapes your outer world, is not a new discovery. It is an ancient truth, one that has been given a name that for many is heavy with the dust of fear and misunderstanding. That name is karma. Let us approach this word with care, for it often lands in the mind with a sense of dread. It conjures images of a cosmic courtroom, a celestial ledger where all your past sins are recorded, waiting to be paid for. It speaks of destiny as a sealed verdict, a punishment you cannot escape. This interpretation of karma, popular as it may be, is a distortion. It is a product of the ego's love for drama, judgment, and fear. Today, we will wipe the dust from this sacred concept and see it for what it truly is. What if karma is not a judge? What if it is not a system of punishment at all? What if it is simply the name for the beautiful, impersonal machinery of the mirror we have just observed? Karma is not a moral law enforced by an angry God. Karma is a natural law, as fundamental and as neutral as gravity. It is the law of cause and effect applied to the realm of consciousness. In physics, Newton's third law states that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Karma is this same principle extended beyond the purely physical. Every thought, every word, every action you generate is a cause. It is a seed you plant in the fertile field of the universe. The life you experience, the situations you encounter, the feelings that arise, these are the effects. They are the harvest grown from the seeds you have planted. Karma, therefore, is not a punishment. It is a lesson. It is a perfectly designed, deeply compassionate feedback system for the soul's education. Imagine a kind and patient teacher instructing a student in mathematics. If the student writes that 2 + 2 = 5, the teacher does not punish the student. She does not declare the student to be a bad person for getting the answer wrong. She simply marks the answer as incorrect and, with compassion, shows the student the correct process. Why? So the student can learn and no longer make the same mistake. Karma is this teacher. When you act from a place of anger, and in return, you experience discord and alienation, karma is not punishing you. It is simply the teacher gently saying, "This is the result produced by the energy of anger. This is what it feels like. Did you enjoy the outcome? If not, you are entirely free to choose a different energy, a different cause, next time." The feedback is the lesson. The consequence is the curriculum. This reframes everything. You are not a prisoner paying for past crimes. You are a gardener in the field of your own life. If you look around your garden today and see weeds of resentment, thorns of conflict, and bitter fruits of loneliness, it is not because you are being punished. It is simply because at some point in the past, consciously or unconsciously, you planted the seeds of those things. Complaining about the harvest is useless. Blaming the soil or the weather is a distraction. The only relevant question for the conscious gardener is, what seeds am I planting now? You cannot change the seeds you planted yesterday, but you have absolute power over the seeds you choose to plant in this very moment. In this moment, you can choose to plant a seed of kindness. You can plant a seed of forgiveness. You can plant a seed of generosity. And if you do, the law of karma guarantees that, in due time, you will see a new harvest. This understanding liberates you from the paralyzing fear of bad karma. So many souls are trapped, looking constantly in the rearview mirror of their lives, terrified of the misdeeds from their past. They feel doomed, believing they must passively suffer for mistakes they can no longer change. This is the ego's greatest trap. It keeps you focused on the unchangeable past, robbing you of your creative power in the only moment that ever exists, the present. Your point of power is always now. A single, conscious act of love in this moment is more powerful than 1,000 acts of anger from your past, because it begins a new chain of causation. It plants a new kind of seed. You are not here to passively pay off old debts. You are here to actively create a new reality. So, how do we work with this law consciously? How do we become deliberate gardeners? We do so by bringing our awareness to the most potent part of any action, the intention behind it. The intention is the energetic DNA of the seed you are planting. The universe does not respond to your actions themselves. It responds to the energy, the intention, that fuels them. Let us call this practice action with intentionality. Before you speak, before you act, especially in ways that involve others, I invite you to create a sacred pause. And in that pause, ask yourself this simple question: From where within me is this action coming? Is the root of it love, or is it fear? All intentions can be traced back to one of these two primordial energies. Am I about to say this to connect with this person, to help, to heal, to expand our shared understanding? That is an action born of love. Or am I about to say this to prove I am right, to defend my ego, to control the outcome, to create separation? That is an action born of fear. Am I giving this gift out of a genuine sense of generosity and a desire to bring joy? That is a seed of love. Or am I giving it out of a sense of obligation, guilt, or the desire to be praised and seen as a good person? That is a seed of fear. The outward action may look identical, but the universe, the great mirror, does not reflect the action. It reflects the intention. It reflects the frequency. When you begin to live this way, your entire life becomes a conscious spiritual practice. Sending an email becomes an opportunity to plant a seed of clarity and goodwill. A conversation with your partner becomes a chance to sow seeds of understanding and compassion. Even the way you interact with a stranger at a grocery store becomes a moment to generate a cause of kindness or a cause of impatience. You realize that there are no small moments. Every moment is a point of creation. Karma, seen through this lens, is not a cage that confines you to your past. It is the very key that unlocks your future. It is the user's manual for the universe, and its instructions are simple. The energy you put out is the energy you will receive. It is the ultimate confirmation that you are the creative center of your reality. It is a law of radical empowerment. It places the tools of creation firmly back in your own hands and says, "Here, this is how it works. Now, what do you choose to create?" This profound understanding naturally leads to a powerful and elegant strategy for life. If the law of the universe is that you will harvest what you plant, that you will receive what you give, then the most direct path to creating a life of joy, abundance, and love is to focus on the act of giving. If you wish to receive peace, you must first give peace to others. If you wish to experience love, you must first give love, freely and without condition. This brings us face to face with one of the most beautiful and counterintuitive dynamics of the spiritual path, the great paradox of abundance. You now understand the elegant machinery of karma, the universal law that what you sow, you shall reap. You have accepted that you are the gardener of your own reality, that the causes you generate today will become the effects you experience tomorrow. This understanding, once it truly settles in your bones, moves from being a philosophical concept to a profound strategic guide for living. It begs the question, what then is the most skillful and effective way to engage with this law? How does one consciously plant the seeds for a harvest of joy, peace, and fulfillment? The answer is at once breathtakingly simple and a direct challenge to the very foundation of our modern culture. The answer is this: to get, you must give. To receive, you must release. To have more, you must hold on to less. This is the great and beautiful paradox of abundance. Before we can enter this new reality, we must first examine the prison we have been living in. It is the prison of the scarcity mindset. This is the deep, often unconscious belief that there is a limited supply of everything that matters. A limited supply of money, of opportunity, of success, of love, of happiness. From this core belief, a whole way of life emerges. It is a life of competition, of comparison, of hoarding. It is the belief that if someone else gets a large slice of the pie, there is necessarily less for you. This mindset turns life into a frantic, zero-sum game of accumulation and defense. Its energy is that of a clenched fist, tightly gripping what little it has, terrified of losing it. It is stingy not just with its money, but with its praise, with its forgiveness, with its time, with its love. The scarcity mindset is constantly performing a calculation of loss. It asks, if I give this, what will I have left? This mindset is not an evil. It is an outdated survival program. For our distant ancestors, hoarding resources was a key to survival. But in the context of our inner and spiritual lives, this program has become a virus. It is the very source of the lack it fears. And here is why. The universe does not operate on a principle of scarcity. The universe operates on a principle of flow. Energy is meant to move. Life is circulation. Think of a beautiful mountain lake. If it has no outlet, if it only receives water from the streams but never gives its own water away to the river below, what happens? It becomes stagnant. It grows brackish, murky, and lifeless. Now imagine a lake with a healthy, flowing outlet. It is constantly giving of itself, and in doing so, it remains clear, fresh, vibrant, and full, because it is always being replenished by the streams that feed it. It is in the act of giving that it maintains its own vitality. You are that lake. Your love, your energy, your resources, they are meant to flow through you, not to stagnate in you. Consider the most fundamental rhythm of your existence, your breath. You inhale, an act of receiving. You exhale, an act of giving. Could you survive if you only tried to inhale? If you only tried to receive, greedily hoarding the air in your lungs, you would poison yourself and perish. Could you survive if you only tried to exhale, to give away all your air without receiving? Of course not. Your very life depends on the balanced, rhythmic, ceaseless flow of both giving and receiving. The universe is trying to teach you its most fundamental secret with every single breath you take. To cling is to die. To flow is to live. The storyteller in your mind will immediately protest with its most potent argument. But if I give what little I have, I will be left with nothing. This fear feels profoundly real, but it is based on the illusion that you are the finite source of what you give. The truth is, you are a channel, not a container. The act of giving is an act of profound faith. It is a powerful declaration to the universe, the great mirror. When you give freely and with a generous heart, you are not saying, "Here is a piece of my limited supply." You are declaring, "I live in an abundant universe. I am a channel for this abundance. There is more than enough, and I trust in the flow." The universe, which can only mirror your state of being, hears this declaration of trust and abundance, and it has no choice but to reflect it back to you, opening new channels of receiving that you could not have imagined. Conversely, when you cling, when you hoard, you are sending out a powerful declaration of fear and lack. You are telling the universe, "There is not enough. I am in danger. I must protect my tiny supply." And the universe, being a faithful mirror, reflects this reality of lack back to you, and the channels of receiving constrict. The very act of fearing lack is what creates it. The practice of abundance, then, is the practice of conscious giving. And you must broaden your definition of what it means to give. It is not just about writing a check. You can give your full, undivided, present attention to another human being, one of the most precious gifts in our distracted world. You can give a genuine compliment. You can give your forgiveness, releasing both yourself and another from the prison of resentment. You can give your smile to a stranger. You can give your encouragement to someone who is struggling. You have an infinite supply of these things. You can never run out of kindness. You can never deplete your store of compassion. By giving these things freely, you align yourself with the frequency of generosity, and you prime the pump for all other forms of abundance to flow into your life. To make this practice truly powerful, we must learn to detach it from the ego's need for recognition. The ego loves to be seen as the generous one. It wants the thank you, the praise, the public acknowledgement. To purify our intention, we can practice the art of anonymous giving. Find a small way to give something without any possibility of being credited for it. Pay the toll for the car behind you. Leave a book you love on a park bench with a note for a stranger to find. When a colleague does great work, praise them to your boss without their knowledge. This practice is profoundly transformative. It shifts the joy from the outcome, the recognition, to the act itself. The giving becomes its own reward. This is a pure, high-frequency cause. a seed planted in the most fertile soil, and its harvest is always magnificent. This is the great paradox in action. The clenched fist, in its desperate attempt to hold on, can neither give nor receive. Its world is closed and small. The open hand, in the act of releasing, of giving, is also the hand that is open to receive. Its world is one of flow, of circulation, of endless possibility. True wealth is not measured by what you have accumulated and stored away. It is measured by the amount of love, joy, and energy you allow to flow through you and back out into the world. You are a steward of the energy of the universe, and your function is to keep it moving. As you begin to live this way, you may find yourself asking a deeper question. Why does this work? Why does the act of giving to another feel so right, so resonant? Why does it feel like we are not losing anything, but are in fact coming home to ourselves? The answer lies in the final illusion we must dismantle. The paradox of abundance works so perfectly because its very premise, that of a separate giver and a separate receiver, is not the ultimate truth. To understand the cosmic law of flow, we must now look upon the illusion of separation itself. You have begun to practice the paradox of abundance, learning to open your hand and to give freely. You have felt the strange and wonderful truth that in the act of giving, you feel not depleted, but more full. A deep question begins to echo in the quiet spaces of your mind. Why? Why does this counterintuitive law hold so true? Why does giving to another feel, in some mysterious way, like coming home to yourself? The answer is not found in a strategy or a technique. It is found in confronting the most fundamental illusion upon which your entire life has been built. It is time to look upon the illusion of separation. From the moment you became self-aware, you have learned to define yourself by what you are not. I am me, this mind and this body, encapsulated by this skin. Everything on the other side of that skin is not me. It is the world. It is other. My happiness is inside this boundary. My sorrow is inside this boundary. Your joy, your pain that is over there. This is the foundational story of the ego. Our five senses are its primary witnesses, constantly reporting back evidence of a world of separate objects, separate beings. Our language is its scripture, built upon the holy words of I, you, mine, and yours. Our entire society is its temple, a grand structure built on the pillars of competition, individualism, and comparison. This perception of being a separate, isolated fragment is the source of our deepest existential ache. It is the root of loneliness, the seed of conflict, the engine of our tribalism. It is the haunting fear that we are a fragile piece of consciousness, born by accident, floating for a few brief moments in a vast, cold, and indifferent universe, only to be extinguished into nothingness. This story of separation is the source of all war, all greed, all envy. It is the original wound, but it is not the truth. It is a dream from which you are beginning to awaken. The great spiritual traditions and the startling discoveries of modern physics are beginning to converge on a single, astonishing reality. Separation is an illusion. On the deepest level of your being, you are not separate from anything or anyone. You are an inseparable part of a single, unified, intelligent field of consciousness that is expressing itself as the entire universe. Think of the ocean. Look at the waves. Each wave is unique. It has its own form, its own timing, its own character. One wave is gentle and rolling. Another is powerful and crashing. From the perspective of the beach, they are all individual, separate waves. But what is a wave? Is it really a separate thing? Or is it simply the ocean itself, rising up for a moment to express itself in a particular way? The wave is made of nothing but ocean. Its entire existence is a temporary manifestation of the whole. You are that wave. Your personality, your body, your storiet is a unique, beautiful, temporary expression. But your true nature, the very substance of your being, is the entire ocean of consciousness. Or consider your own body. Your hand and your heart perform vastly different functions. They are located in different places. They appear separate. But are they? They are both animated by a single life force, governed by a single intelligence, interconnected by a web of nerves and vessels, working together for the good of the one body to which they both belong. The hand does not hoard blood from the heart. The heart does not resent the hand for being able to touch the world. The perceived separation is functional, but the underlying reality is one of absolute unity. Now, zoom out. What if all of humanity, and indeed all of life, is exactly like that? A single, planetary body, with each of us playing the part of a unique cell, each with a different function, but all of us expressions of a single, living being. The ego recoils from this realization in terror. Its entire identity, its very survival, is predicated on the story of being a special, separate self. To dissolve the boundary between me and not me feels like annihilation, but this is not an annihilation of you. It is an annihilation of a prison cell you mistook for your home. You do not lose yourself. You find yourself, for the first time, in everything. The bird in flight is a part of you. The tree reaching for the sun is a part of you. The stranger you pass on the street, with their own secret joys and sorrows, is an inseparable part of your larger self. Their joy is your joy. Their suffering is your suffering. This is not a poetic sentiment. It is a description of the fundamental nature of reality. And when you feel this, not just as an idea but as a living truth, the entire architecture of fear and loneliness collapses. How, then, can we move from intellectually understanding this to experientially feeling it? We must undertake a practice that is specifically designed to dissolve the illusion of separation. This is the practice of metta, or loving-kindness meditation. It is a radical act of retraining the heart to see beyond the artificial boundaries of the ego. Find a quiet place to sit. Close your eyes and bring your awareness to your heart center. First, you must generate this feeling for yourself, for you cannot give what you do not possess. Silently, gently, repeat the phrases, "May I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be safe, may I live with ease." Feel the intention behind these words. Let the warmth of that benevolent wish fill your own being. Now, bring to mind someone you love dearly and easily, a child, a partner, a close friend. Picture them in your mind's eye and extend these same wishes to them. May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, may you live with ease. Feel your heart naturally expanding to include them. This part is usually easy. Next, bring to mind a neutral person, someone you see regularly but have no strong feelings about: a mail carrier, a clerk at a store. Hold their image in your mind and extend the very same wishes to them. May you be happy, may you be healthy. Notice any resistance. The ego says, "Why them?" Your heart's practice is to override this, to acknowledge your shared existence and offer them the same grace. Now comes the most transformative step. Bring to mind someone with whom you have difficulty, someone who has hurt you, or with whom you are in conflict. This is where the practice tests your commitment. See them not as a villain, but as a suffering being, trapped in their own conditioning. And, as an act of profound self-liberation, you extend the same wishes. May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, may you live with ease. You are not condoning their behavior. You are releasing yourself from the poison of your own resentment. You are recognizing their fundamental nature as a part of the same ocean as you. Finally, you allow your awareness to expand outward from your heart, boundlessly, to your neighbors, to your city, to your country, to all people on the planet. To the animals, the plants, the earth itself, you radiate this feeling in all directions. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be safe. May all beings live with ease. In this moment, you have stepped out of the tiny prison cell of me and have taken your place as the ocean, holding all the waves in a state of boundless, unconditional love. When you emerge from this practice, the world looks different. The illusion of separation has been momentarily pierced, and you see the threads of connection that bind everything together. You understand now why giving works. When you give to another, you are simply circulating energy within the one body to which you both belong. You are the ocean giving to itself. The fear of loss becomes absurd. The compulsion to hoard becomes illogical. Your life begins to shift from a desperate struggle for personal survival to a joyful participation in the well-being of the whole. And this leads to the most important question an awakened soul can ask. If I am an inseparable part of this magnificent, interconnected whole, then what is my unique part to play? What is the specific, beautiful gift that I, as this individual expression of life, am meant to offer to the rest of myself? This is the quest for true purpose, a purpose found not in self-aggrandizement, but in service. You have stood at the summit of your consciousness and have seen the truth that you are not a separate fragment, but an inseparable part of the magnificent, unified whole. From this breathtaking vantage point, the old, selfish questions of the ego, what can I get, how can I win, dissolve into meaninglessness. A new question, one that echoes with the depth of your soul, rises to take their place. If I am a part of this great, interconnected body of life, then what is my part? What is the sacred role that only I can play? What is my purpose? This is the beginning of the most noble quest a human being can undertake. First, we must release the heavy, distorted idea of purpose that our culture has placed upon our shoulders. We have been taught that purpose is a grand title, an impressive achievement, a legacy that will be carved in stone. We think of it as becoming a world-famous artist, a revolutionary scientist, a celebrated CEO, or a spiritual guru with thousands of followers. This egoic model of purpose turns the search into a source of immense anxiety. It creates a frantic pressure to find your one true calling, and a deep fear that you might miss it, or choose the wrong one, or that your purpose isn't as grand or important as someone else's. This is the ego's approach, to turn a joyful expression into a stressful performance. Let us now discard this heavy burden. True purpose is not something you find outside of yourself, like a hidden treasure. It is something you uncover within yourself. It is not about what you can get from the world, but about what you are uniquely designed to give to the world. It is not a destination you must struggle to reach, but a quality of presence you begin to inhabit in every moment. It is the place where your deep gladness meets the world's deep hunger. To find this place, we must ask ourselves two fundamental questions. The first question is, what is my unique gift? This is not about what you are the best at in the world. It is about what makes you feel most alive. What activity is so engaging that time itself seems to disappear when you are doing it? What topics do you read about late into the night, not for work, but for the sheer joy of knowing? What did you love to do as a child, before the world told you what was practical and important? What qualities like compassion, organization, teaching, healing, creating beauty, solving complex problems seem to flow from you with a natural ease? This is your unique energetic signature. It is your soul's genius. It is the specific color of light that only you can shine. The second question is, what need in the world moves my heart? Look upon the world not with the despair of a critic, but with the compassion of a healer. What form of suffering in humans, in animals, in the planet itself genuinely touches you? Is it the loneliness of the elderly, the confusion of the young, the destruction of our natural environment, the lack of beauty in urban spaces, the struggle of artists to be seen? Pay attention to what pulls at your heartstrings. Your compassion is not random. It is a signal, a homing beacon, pointing you toward the specific area of life that you are meant to serve. Your purpose lies at the intersection of your answers to these two questions. It is the act of applying your unique gift to the need in the world that moves your heart. This is the formula for a meaningful life, and the scale of this service is utterly irrelevant from a cosmic perspective. The universe does not measure your worth by the size of your audience. It measures your life by the quality of love that flows through your actions. Let us imagine that the universe is a grand symphony. Every single soul is a unique instrument, with a unique note to play. The ego tells you that you must strive to be the lead violin, the thundering timpani, or the soaring trumpet. It tells you that being a humble triangle, playing a single, clear note only once in the entire piece, is insignificant. But the composer of this symphony knows the truth. The truth is that the symphony is incomplete without that single, clear note from the triangle. The silence where that note should have been creates a dissonance in the entire composition. The lead violin cannot make up for the absence of the triangle. Its purpose is not to be a violin. Its purpose is to be the most perfect, true, and resonant triangle it can be. Your purpose is not to be someone else. It is to play your own note as purely and beautifully as you possibly can. A baker who wakes before dawn and bakes bread with love and presence, nourishing his community, is playing his note perfectly. He is living a life of profound purpose. A parent who raises a child with patience and conscious attention, creating a foundation of love for a new human being, is performing a service of immeasurable value. A software coder who finds joy in creating elegant, simple solutions to complex problems, making people's lives a little easier, is living his purpose. A gardener who lovingly tends a small plot of land, creating an oasis of beauty and peace for passers-by, is fulfilling a sacred contract with the world. Do not let the ego convince you that these purposes are small. There are no small purposes. There is only the presence or absence of love in your actions. To begin this journey of discovery, take out a journal, title a page, My Joy. Spend time brainstorming answers to that first question. What makes you feel alive? List everything, no matter how trivial it seems. Playing with dogs, organizing a messy closet, listening to someone's problems, walking in the woods, solving puzzles. Let the list grow. This is an inventory of your unique gifts. Then, title a new page, The World's Hunger. Reflect on the second question. What news stories always catch your attention? What injustices make you angry? What suffering makes you want to reach out a hand? Write them down. Be honest about what truly moves you. Now, look at both lists side by side. This is your sacred map. Begin to draw lines. How can your joy of organizing be used to help the overwhelmed and confused? How can your love of walking in the woods be used to help people disconnected from nature? How can your skill at listening be a balm for the lonely? The connections may not be obvious at first. This is not a problem to be solved in an afternoon. It is a living inquiry, a question you hold in your heart as you move through your days. Hold the intention, show me how my gifts can best serve the world. And then pay attention. The mirror of the universe will begin to bring you clues. You will find that living your purpose is not a heavy burden. It is the lightest, most joyful way to live. It is a relief. You no longer have to pretend to be someone you are not. You are simply asked to be more of who you already are, and to offer that self as a gift. It is the ultimate alignment of your inner world with your outer actions. It is the feeling of the river of your life finally finding its natural channel and flowing effortlessly toward the sea. But to offer this gift, to play your unique note purely, you cannot be a muted, distorted, or apologetic version of yourself. You cannot sing your soul's song while wearing a mask. The power and effectiveness of your service is directly proportional to the degree of your own authenticity. Therefore, to truly step into your purpose, you must first be willing to step fully into yourself. You must embrace the power of your own authentic expression. You have stood at the sacred intersection where your deepest joy meets the world's deep need. You have begun to sense your true purpose, not as a grand achievement to be chased, but as a unique note that only you can play in the great symphony of existence. But a note, no matter how beautiful, is only effective if it is played on an open, resonant instrument. A song sung from behind a heavy mask is muffled and distorted. To truly deliver the gift of your purpose to the world, you must first deliver the gift of your true self. You must be willing to let the masks fall away and stand in the liberating, terrifying, and ultimately powerful light of your own authentic expression. For your entire life, you have been a master of disguise. You have a collection of masks, each one carefully crafted for a different occasion. You have the competent, confident mask for your work. You have the agreeable, easygoing mask for your friends. You have the dutiful son or daughter mask for your family. You have the sophisticated mask, the funny mask, the spiritual mask. You have become so adept at switching between them that you may have even forgotten that you are wearing them. You may have come to believe that you are the collection of masks, but deep down you have felt the cost. The cost is exhaustion. It takes a colossal amount of life force energy to constantly monitor your performance, to edit your words, to suppress your true feelings, and to uphold the image you believe is required of you. This is the source of a deep and pervasive weariness that no amount of sleep can cure. The cost is also a profound loneliness. You may be surrounded by people who love and admire your mask, but you remain unseen, untouched, unknown. You live with the secret fear of the imposter, terrified that if you slip up, if the mask cracks, everyone will discover that you are not who they think you are and abandon you. This is the ultimate isolation, to be loved for what you are not. These masks are not your fault. They were not created from a place of deceit, but from a place of survival. As a child, you learned very quickly which behaviors and expressions would earn you the love, safety, and acceptance you needed. You learned to suppress the parts of you that were met with disapproval or punishment. The mask of the good boy or the quiet girl was a brilliant strategy to navigate your childhood environment. It was a tool that helped you survive. But now, that tool which once served you has become a prison that confines you. The strategy that once protected you now suffocates you. Authentic expression is the decision to stop performing. It is not, as the ego might fear, a license to be rude, thoughtless, or to unleash unfiltered chaos upon the world. It is something far more refined and powerful. Authenticity is the courage to bring your outer expression into alignment with your inner reality. It is the congruence between your values and your actions, your feelings and your words. It is the brave act of letting your true self be seen, without apology or defense. The power of this is immense. When you are authentic, your energy is no longer split between who you are and who you are pretending to be. It becomes coherent, focused, and incredibly magnetic. People may not be able to name it, but they can feel it. They feel that you are real, and it builds a foundation of trust that no carefully crafted image ever could. More importantly, your authenticity is a gift to others. When you have the courage to be real, you create a space of permission for those around you to take off their own masks. You become a beacon of truth, and your very presence becomes an invitation for others to come home to themselves. Think of yourself as a unique color, a specific, vibrant shade of red. But you were born into a world that seemed to prize the color blue. So you have spent your life trying to act blue. You have studied blue. You have mimicked blue. You have suppressed your own inner redness. But it is always an awkward performance. Your red nature keeps peeking through. Authenticity is the decision to stop this exhausting act and to simply, gloriously, be red. The world does not need another imitation blue. The world needs your specific, brilliant red to complete the spectrum. Perhaps you fear that your authentic self is flawed, that you have cracks and imperfections you must hide. Consider the Japanese art of kintsugi. When a piece of pottery breaks, it is not thrown away. It is repaired with lacquer mixed with powdered gold. The philosophy is that the piece is more beautiful and more valuable because of its brokenness. The cracks are not something to be hidden. They are part of its unique history, illuminated in gold. Your vulnerabilities, your past wounds, your perceived flaws, these are your golden seams. They are what make you human. They are what allow the light to get in and out. To show them authentically is not a sign of weakness. It is a display of profound strength and beauty. The greatest obstacle to this path is the deep-seated fear of judgment and rejection. The storyteller whispers its most terrifying threat. If they see the real you, they will leave. And we must be honest, this is not an entirely unfounded fear. When you begin to live authentically, some people in your life will fall away. But you must understand who these people are. They are the ones who are in a relationship not with you, but with your mask. When you remove the mask, the relationship loses its foundation. Their departure is not a rejection of you. It is a natural consequence of your own truth. It is not a loss. It is a necessary and healthy clearing of space for people who can and will love you for who you truly are. Your goal is not to be liked by everyone. Your goal is to be deeply seen and loved by the few who are meant to be on your journey. So how do we begin this delicate process of unmasking? It is not done in one grand dramatic gesture. It is a practice, undertaken with gentle, consistent courage. You start with yourself. You cannot be honest with others if you are still lying to yourself. Begin a journaling practice where you give yourself permission to feel and express anything without judgment. Acknowledge your real feelings, your petty thoughts, your secret dreams. Let your journal be the one place in the universe where no mask is required. Then, you begin to practice small acts of congruence in the world. Start in low-stakes situations. When a friend asks your opinion on a movie, give your real opinion, kindly and simply. When you are asked what you want for dinner, state your preference instead of deflecting with, "Whatever you want is fine." These small acts build the muscle of self-expression. Then, you move on to a more powerful practice, learning to say a clean no. A clean no is saying no to a request without a long, fabricated story of excuses. It is a simple, honest honoring of your own time and energy. Thank you so much for thinking of me for this project, but I won't be able to participate at this time. That is it. It is a statement of truth, not a rejection of the other person. With every small act of authenticity, you will feel a surge of a new kind of energy. It is the energy of integrity, the feeling of your whole self coming into alignment. The exhaustion begins to lift. The fear of being found out starts to fade. You begin to walk through the world with a lightness and a solidity that were never possible when you were carrying the weight of all those masks. You are simply yourself, and you discover that being yourself is more than enough. It is the very purpose of your being here. It is the unique gift that you are meant to share. As you become more comfortable in your own skin, a natural consequence begins to occur. You start to look around at your life and notice all the things you have accumulated to support your old, false selves. You see the clutter in your home, the obligations in your calendar, the complexities in your relationships, all props for a play you are no longer performing. A deep and powerful urge arises from within you. The urge to simplify, to shed, to let go of everything that is not essential, everything that is not a true reflection of the authentic self you are becoming. This is the call to embrace the quiet power and profound beauty of simplicity. As you begin to walk in the world with the newfound lightness of authenticity, a strange thing happens. Having shed the heavy, internal weight of your many masks, you start to become exquisitely sensitive to the weight of things in the external world. You look around at the life you have built, and you begin to see not just a home, a career, and a schedule, but an elaborate stage set, complete with countless props, costumes, and scripts for a play you are no longer interested in performing. A new longing arises, a quiet but persistent whisper from your soul. It is the desire to tear down the set, to clear the stage, to let go of everything that is not essential. It is the call to embrace the quiet power and profound elegance of simplicity. We live in a culture that worships at the altar of more. It is a cult of complexity. The unspoken mantra is that more is always better. More possessions, more money, more followers, more information, more commitments, more experiences to check off a list. We have been conditioned to believe that a full life is a life that is literally full stuffed to the gills with activities, acquisitions, and ambitions. We wear our busyness as a badge of honor, a sign of our importance. But we must have the courage to ask, what is the true cost of this complexity? The cost is your life force. It is your peace. Your attention, the most sacred currency you possess, is fractured into 1,000 tiny pieces, scattered across an endless landscape of notifications, obligations, and trivial decisions. Your mind is cluttered with an endless to-do list, a backlog of unanswered emails, and the low-grade hum of information overload. You are drowning in the non-essential. And the paradox is that in our frantic pursuit of a full life, we end up feeling empty because we have no space left to actually be present for the life we are so busy building. We have more, but we experience less. This complexity is the natural habitat of the inauthentic self. We accumulate possessions to signal to others that we are successful. We fill our calendars to prove that we are important and in demand. We distract ourselves with endless information and entertainment to avoid the uncomfortable silence in which we might have to face our own inner emptiness. Complexity is a hiding place. Simplicity, on the other hand, requires a profound honesty. It requires you to know what truly matters to you and to have the courage to let go of everything else. True simplicity is not about deprivation. It is not about living a stark, joyless, ascetic life. That is merely another rigid performance. True, elegant simplicity is about conscious discernment. It is the art of subtraction. The great sculptor does not create a masterpiece by adding more clay. He begins with a solid block of marble and bravely chips away everything that is not the masterpiece. The final, beautiful form was there all along, hidden within the stone. Your beautiful, authentic life is already here. It is hidden within the block of your current, complex reality. Your work is not to add more to it, but to lovingly, patiently, chip away everything that is not truly you. The primary obstacle to this path is the deep, cultural conditioning of FOMO, fear of missing out. The ego, the storyteller, will scream and protest. If you declutter your schedule, you will miss a crucial opportunity. If you unfollow those people, you will fall out of the loop. If you get rid of these possessions, you might need them one day. You will become boring. You will become irrelevant. But you must ask yourself, what am I really missing out on when my life is this cluttered? You are missing out on the quiet joy of a morning with no agenda. You are missing out on the space for a deep, unhurried conversation with a loved one. You are missing out on the voice of your own intuition, which can only be heard in the silence. You are missing out on your own presence. The real fear should not be of missing out on another party or another purchase. The real fear is of missing your own life because you were too distracted to show up for it. The practice of simplicity is the practice of conscious subtraction. It is a gentle, ongoing process of weeding your garden so the things you truly value can thrive. We can approach this on several levels. First, you begin with the physical. Look at the space you inhabit. Look at your closets, your shelves, your drawers. Pick up an object, hold it in your hands and ask, with deep honesty, does this object serve a vital function in my life, or does it bring me genuine joy? If the answer is no, it is time to let it go. Thank it for its service and release it. As you begin to clear your physical space, you will be astonished at the effect it has on your inner space. A clear room creates a clear mind. You are signaling to the universe that you are making space for the new, for what truly matters. Next, you move to the mental. You must become a fierce and loving guardian of your attention. Look at the torrent of information you allow into your mind each day. Unsubscribe from the marketing emails. Unfollow the social media accounts that leave you feeling anxious, envious, or inadequate. Consciously curate your information diet. Choose to read one beautiful book instead of scrolling through 100 ephemeral articles. Choose to listen to one inspiring piece of music instead of being bombarded by the chaotic noise of trending content. Your mind is the sacred garden where the seeds of your reality are planted. Stop allowing others to throw their weeds into it. Then you address your time. Your calendar has become a battlefield where everyone is fighting for a piece of your life force. It is time to reclaim your sovereignty. Look at your commitments. Which of them are aligned with your deepest values? Which of them are you doing out of a sense of guilt, obligation, or a fear of saying no? The practice of the clean no that you have been cultivating now becomes an essential tool. Begin to politely and firmly decline the invitations, the projects, and the obligations that do not make your heart sing. And in the space you create, do not rush to fill it with something else. Schedule appointments with nothing. Block out time for aimless wandering, for staring out the window, for simply being. This empty space is not wasted time. It is the fertile ground from which all creativity, insight, and true rest are born. Finally, you apply this principle to your relationships. You realize that it is better to have a few connections that are deep, authentic, and nourishing than 100 acquaintances that are shallow and draining. Gently and with compassion, you can begin to create distance from relationships that consistently leave you feeling depleted or unseen. You do not need a dramatic confrontation. You can simply stop investing your precious energy there. You turn your attention to watering the few beautiful plants in your relational garden that you truly wish to see flourish. Simplicity is not about having less. It is about having more of what matters. More peace, more time, more connection, more joy. It is the elegant, uncluttered backdrop against which the beauty of your authentic life can finally be seen and appreciated. And as you continue this process of chipping away the unessential physical clutter, the mental noise, the burdensome obligations of a false self, you will find that you have excavated something that has been buried for a very long time. Beneath the rock of adult responsibility and complexity, you uncover a pure, simple, and joyful presence that has been waiting for you. You have created the open field, the unstructured time, the safe space for your own inner child to finally come out and play. You have begun the great and noble work of simplifying your life. You have started to clear away the clutter, the props, the non-essential obligations that once supported a life of performance. You have swept the stage clean. Into this newfound space, into this quiet, uncluttered stillness, a forgotten presence begins to stir. At first, it is shy, hesitant, like a small creature peeking out from the woods after a long and noisy storm has passed. It is a light, curious, and joyful energy that you have not felt for a very, very long time. Do not be startled. Welcome it. This is the energy of your own inner child, returning from a long exile. Take a moment and remember this being. Remember the world as you experienced it before you were taught how to see it. Remember the boundless curiosity that fueled your constant stream of questions. Remember the effortless presence you embodied, so completely absorbed in the intricate world of a single anthill or the vibrant colors of a crayon that the rest of the world fell away. Remember your creativity, a wild and untamed force that flowed through you without a shred of self-consciousness. You did not draw a picture to create a masterpiece. You drew for the sheer, visceral joy of color meeting paper. You did not dance to impress anyone. You danced because music was playing, and your body simply had to move. This was you, in your original, unfiltered state, a being of pure presence, wonder, and spontaneous joy. So where did that being go? It did not die. It went into hiding. It went into hiding the first time an adult told you to stop asking so many silly questions. It retreated the first time a teacher criticized your drawing for not being realistic enough. It learned to be quiet the first time you were told to act your age when you were feeling playful. The world of serious adults, with its relentless demands for productivity, its fear of looking foolish, and its obsession with results over process, became an unsafe environment for this tender, spontaneous part of you. Your inner child learned, as a strategy for survival, that its unbridled joy was inappropriate, its boundless wonder was naive, and its creative impulses were a waste of time. And so, to protect itself, and to allow you to be accepted into the adult world, it quietly slipped away into the deepest chambers of your heart, waiting patiently for the day it would be safe to come out again. That day is today. Reclaiming your inner child is not, as the ego might fear, an invitation to become childish. It is not about abdicating your adult responsibilities or indulging in selfish tantrums. It is an act of profound integration. It is the sacred work of becoming whole again. Imagine that you, the conscious adult self who has been on this journey, are now the wise, strong, and loving parent that your inner child has always needed. For years, this inner parent may have been critical, neglectful, or dismissive, but now you have done the work. You have created a safe and simple home. Your job now is to walk to that hidden chamber in your heart, to knock gently on the door, and to extend your hand. Your job is to say, "I see you. I have missed you. It is safe to come out and play now. I will protect you. I will listen to you. I will cherish you." The serious adult persona within you will resist this. It will call it frivolous, unproductive, and a waste of precious time. It will be terrified of looking foolish. But you must understand that play is not the opposite of serious work. It is its vital partner. Play is the wellspring of all true creativity and innovation. It is in moments of purposeless, joyful play that the mind makes its most brilliant connections. Play is not an indulgence. It is a biological necessity for a healthy, vibrant life. To deny yourself play is to deny yourself one of the most powerful sources of energy and inspiration you possess. So how do you invite this shy being back into the light? You must create a playground for your soul. You must consciously and deliberately make space for purposeless joy. We can call this the practice of the joyful appointment. It is a scheduled date with your own inner child, and it is as important as any business meeting or deadline. First, you must create a joy list. Take out your journal and brainstorm a list of activities that sound fun, playful, or silly, with absolutely no goal of self-improvement attached. What did you love as a child? Think back. Was it finger painting, building things with blocks or Legos, making mud pies, dancing wildly in the living room, singing at the top of your lungs? Perhaps it's flying a kite, blowing bubbles, skipping stones on a lake, or climbing a tree. Perhaps it's visiting a toy store with no intention of buying anything for another child, but simply to delight in the colors and the possibilities. Let your imagination run free. Do not censor yourself. If it sounds fun, write it down. Next, you must treat this with sincere importance. Schedule it. Literally, put it in your calendar. Tuesday, 4 p.m. playtime. By scheduling it, you are signaling to both your adult self and your inner child that this is a non-negotiable priority. You are carving out sacred time for joy, defending it from the encroachment of shoulds and obligations. Then, when the time comes, you must execute the plan with a spirit of open-hearted presence. If your chosen activity is painting, the goal is not to create a good painting. The goal is to enjoy the feeling of the brush, the smell of the paint, the vibrant mixing of colors. The goal is to make a glorious mess. If your activity is dancing, the goal is not to look graceful. The goal is to feel the music in your body and let it move you however it wants to move you. You must let go of the need to be good at it. You must release the adult obsession with outcomes and fall in love with the process itself. For your inner child, the joy is never in the destination. It is always in the journey. As you begin to engage in this practice, you will feel a profound shift within you. The rigid, serious parts of your personality will begin to soften. You will find yourself laughing more easily. You will start to see the world with a renewed sense of wonder, noticing the small miracles you had long since become blind to. The creative ideas that had been blocked will begin to flow with a new, effortless ease. You are not just playing. You are healing decades of self-neglect. You are telling the most tender part of yourself that it is not only welcome, but essential. You are integrating its vibrant, joyful energy back into the totality of your being. You are no longer just the wise observer, or the disciplined warrior, or the intuitive guide. You have now welcomed home the joyful artist, the curious explorer, the divine child. All the essential aspects of your true self are finally being gathered together, no longer at war with each other, but working in beautiful harmony. The wisdom of the adult provides the safety and structure. The joy and creativity of the child provide the energy and the spark. You have become whole. And with this whole, integrated self, you are now fully equipped. You have all the tools you need. You are ready to step into your ultimate power and your greatest responsibility, the role of being the conscious, deliberate, and joyful architect of your own inner world. We have journeyed far together. You have walked through the desert of your own resistance and stood in the quiet sanctuary of the present moment. You have learned to be the silent witness to the ceaseless chatter of the storyteller. You have had the courage to turn and face your own shadow, not with fear, but with a compassionate curiosity. You have felt the immense power that comes from taking the raw, painful stories of your past and consciously rewriting them into a new narrative of strength. You have learned the sacred art of letting go, of opening the clenched fist of attachment and allowing life to flow. You have anchored yourself in the steady, faithful rhythm of your breath. You have learned to ride the great waves of emotion instead of being drowned by them. You have discovered the sacred, liberating space that exists between stimulus and response. To protect that space, you have begun to forge the shining sword of self-discipline Nino as a tool of punishment, but as an act of profound self-love. You have learned to quiet the noise of the world so you could hear the subtle, true guidance of your inner compass. You have seen that the universe is a great mirror, faithfully reflecting your own inner state back to you. You have understood that karma is not a cosmic judge, but a compassionate teacher. You have embraced the paradox of abundance, realizing that the open, giving hand is the only one that can truly receive. You have pierced the illusion of separation, feeling your connection to the great web of all life. You have uncovered your purpose in joyful service, and you have begun to express that purpose with the bold, beautiful courage of authenticity. You have cleared away the clutter of your life, making space, and into that space, you have welcomed home the simple, wondrous, and creative joy of your inner child. You have gathered all the parts of yourself. The observer, the warrior, the guide, and the artist are no longer scattered fragments at war with one another. They are here, now, united within you as a council of wisdom and power. And so you arrive at the final, great realization of this journey. It is the understanding toward which all these other truths have been pointing. It is this: you are not a pawn in the game of life. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are not a passive recipient of whatever the world decides to give you. You are the sovereign of your own inner kingdom. You are the architect of your own inner world. This is the ultimate seat of power. You may not be able to control the weather, the economy, the traffic, or the moods of other people. The attempt to control the external world is a path of endless frustration. But the inner world, the kingdom of your own consciousness, is your exclusive domain. You, and you alone, have the absolute authority to decide its climate. You decide what thoughts are permitted to take root and what thoughts are treated as passing clouds. You decide which emotions are given the fuel of your attention and which are allowed to dissipate like smoke. You decide what you will build within this sacred space. This is the only freedom that can never be taken away from you. At this realization, the ego makes its final stand. It offers you its last and most seductive temptation, the comfort of victimhood. It whispers, "This is too much responsibility." It is easier to blame them. It is simpler to believe you are unlucky. If you claim full responsibility for your inner world, you have no one else to point to when you are unhappy. Relinquish this power. It is a burden. And you must see this for what it is, the choice between your excuses and your freedom. You can have your story about why you cannot be at peace, or you can have peace. You cannot have both. The final act of this great unlearning is to consciously, deliberately, and permanently abdicate the throne of the victim and to ascend to the throne of the Creator. Imagine your consciousness as a vast estate, your own inner kingdom. For many years you were an absentee ruler. The kingdom fell into disarray. Tyransin, the form of your unexamined ego and your deepest fears, took control of the castle. The grounds became overgrown with the weeds of limiting beliefs. Ghosts of past traumas haunted the corridors. The entire kingdom was shrouded in a fog of anxiety and confusion. The journey you have just undertaken has been a great reclamation. You have returned. You have peacefully overthrown the tyrants by seeing them with awareness. You have weeded the gardens. You have gently escorted the ghosts to the light by forgiving the past. You have cleared the fog with the light of your own presence. The kingdom is now yours, but you are not just its ruler. You are its chief architect. You have the blueprints of your highest vision. You have the tools you have so diligently forged. You have the raw materials, your focus, your attention, your thoughts, your feelings, your intentions. Now you build. What will you construct in this inner kingdom? Will you build a sanctuary of deep silence and peace, a place you can retreat to for restoration regardless of the chaos in the outer world? Will you build a vibrant laboratory of creativity, a workshop where new ideas can be explored without fear of failure? Will you cultivate a garden of loving kindness, where compassion for yourself and all beings can blossom? You are the architect. The choice is yours. This is not a one-time decision. It is a daily practice of conscious creation. It is the way you now live. It begins in the first moments of your day. Instead of reaching for your phone and allowing the reactive chaos of the world's agenda to become your own, you give the first few minutes to yourself. You sit in the quiet of your inner kingdom, and you, the architect, review the blueprints for the day. You do not focus on the endless list of tasks. You focus on the state of being you intend to inhabit while you perform those tasks. You ask, what is the dominant frequency I choose for my kingdom today? Is it peace? Is it gratitude? Is it focused productivity? Is it joyful presence? You choose one, and you take a few moments to generate that feeling in your body, to tune your entire being to that specific frequency. You are consciously setting the climate for your day before you ever step out into the weather. It continues in the last moments of your day. Before you sleep, instead of replaying worries, you return to your inner kingdom for a final inspection. You walk through the gardens of your day and take a moment for grateful review, acknowledging the moments of grace and learning. Then, you turn your attention to the blueprint for tomorrow. You gently hold a vision of your day unfolding with ease, with synchronicities, with positive outcomes. You feel the feeling of a successful meeting. You feel the joy of a loving interaction. You feel the peace of a day well lived. You are not forcing or manipulating. You are simply providing your subconscious mind and the great mirror of the universe with a clear, coherent, and beautiful blueprint to work with while you rest. You are no longer leaving your life to chance. This is where the journey has led you. From a state of unconscious reaction to a state of conscious creation. From a feeling of being a small, fragile fragment to the knowing that you are the architect of your world. This is not a destination at which you have arrived, but a new way of being that you will inhabit for the rest of your life. The apprenticeship is over. The great unlearning is complete. The tools are in your hands, the kingdom is yours, and the power is, and has always been, within you. Your greatest masterpiece of life lived from the inside out awaits its architect. We began this journey together, standing in a room cluttered with furniture that was not yours, the inherited beliefs and dogmas of a world that did not know you. The air was thick with the dust of yesterday's regrets and tomorrow's anxieties. The walls were papered with the stories of who you were supposed to be, and the only light was a dim, flickering bulb of hope that you might one day find a way out. Look at that room now. Look at your inner world. The journey has not been about escaping the room. It has been about reclaiming it. It has been the great and sacred work of throwing open the windows to let the light of awareness pour in. One by one, you have had the courage to carry out the heavy, borrowed furniture. You have lovingly swept away the dust of the past. You have peeled back the old stories from the walls, not with violence, but with the gentle solvent of compassion. The room is no longer a prison. It is a sanctuary. It is a temple. It is spacious, clear, and silent. And this silence is not empty. It is alive. It is vibrant with the hum of pure potential. The few things that remain are objects you have consciously chosen, things that resonate with the truth of who you are now. This is not an end. It is the beginning of a new way of living. It is the art of tending to your own sacred space. There will be days when dust settles again. Visitors will come and try to leave their own baggage behind. The world will always offer you new clutter. But you are different now. You are no longer the frantic, overwhelmed inhabitant, lost in the mess. You are the calm and loving keeper of the temple. You know the art of clearing. You know the peace of simplicity. You know the feel of spaciousness, and you will not so easily trade it away again. You came here seeking answers, perhaps looking for a light at the end of a long, dark tunnel. The final truth, the one that this entire journey has been leading you toward, is this: there is no tunnel, and you are not looking for the light. You are the light, the source of all the peace, all the love, all the wisdom you have been searching for in the world has been burning quietly within you all along. It is the sun of your own consciousness. Your only work, now and for the rest of your days, is to rise each morning and allow that inner sun to illuminate your own sky, to warm your own world. The search is over. You have come home.